Your Words Destroyed My Planet, the stream series, the edited version. Originally streamed live at twitch.tv/dualitiesdownfall. More information in the description.
Your Words Destroyed My Planet, Chapter 56. You're fine. You can deal with this. Red Glare is going to make a ruling about the captain, but that's out of your hands. When she does tell you what's going to happen, you can deal with it then. There's nothing you can do right now. The other balancers didn't react terribly to finding out about you losing your ability to balance. Actually, you'd like to hang out with them again, and it's good that you're not going to lose that part of balancer and sailor culture. Truthfully, you didn't choose to be a balancer. You technically chose to be a sailor, but as several people have pointed out, it was hardly a free choice. That doesn't mean that you hate everything about being a balancer, or you hated all of the abilities you got. It wasn't that clear-cut. Yeah, having to keep quiet and lie to people about what was really going on was isolating. It kept you at the captain's mercy, but it also formed a culture. People respected what you could do, and you could protect people from harm, or at least do your best to do that. Gamzee isn't your best friend in the whole universe, but there's no denying that because of you both being balancers and having similar pasts, that he gets you in ways that no one else ever will. The balancers on your ship still treat you like you're one of them, and so do the sailors. They all understand that you're limited in what you can do now, but you're still part of that group and that culture. Losing that would hurt you more than you could really describe. You've talked to Cotard about it, and you were aware that this means a lot to you, so obviously it means that interacting with another crew and other balancers that you're friendly with was going to be a weighty situation. But it was fine. They were horrified that you had lost your ability to balance, but they didn't act like you don't belong there now. Stretched out on the floor of the small aircraft, you try to hold all of that in your head. It's late, and it's dark. You still have a job to do, even if it's not the one you used to have. You're not who you were before, but you're getting better. You're still here. One way or another, Red Glare is going to move this situation with the captain on, and you can act however you need to. You're not letting this cycle continue. The more therapy you've had and the more you've talked to Karkat makes you sure that you want to fix things. You won't let anyone else deal with things the way you had to. When someone else pops up with the ghost, you will be there to help. You can work out with the others what you're going to do. Because here's the thing. Like you said to the captain, people like you shouldn't really be making that call. You're broken in ways that won't ever be unbroken. You can heal, sure, but there's no undoing some things. You can't be fully objective about it. Your head is too riddled with things that your parents put in there when you were a terrified, tortured kid. Too full of training that the sailors ground into you. Crammed with ideas about yourself and your place that you can't wipe clean. No matter how mindful you try to be, you're biased. What you can do is listen to people who get it, but who haven't lived through what you have. You can't decide how some kid should be trained without risking passing on some of the poison that you marinated in for years. You can follow someone else's lead, but you shouldn't decide shit. That's just a fact. It's a fact in the same way that the captain being unable to make a rational choice about what's worth sacrificing to get away from the void after she watched her whole planet be destroyed by it is just a fact. Neither of you should be calling the shots. Still, it's pretty peaceful on this planet. You left the bar a while back, and now that you've collected your thoughts, you think you can actually shut your eyes and fall asleep. Oh, good, you're here, Solix says, wrenching the door open. God damn it, Solix. Trying to sleep, you groan. Yeah, these are off, aren't they? Solix asks. You crane your neck to see him pointing at the headsets you all wear when you're flying, the ones that let you hear each other. Yeah, we're not flying, so they're not on. Why are you asking? You ask suspiciously. If it wasn't for the fact that you can see how nervous he looks in the barely there light in here, you'd think he had motives behind working out how private it is in here. You wouldn't take him up on that offer, even if he made it. That's not what this aircraft was designed for, and you're working right now. No reason. I definitely stuck to the rules you gave me, Solix says uneasily. We told you to do one thing, to not blow the whole secret about the balance. Tell me you hiss, sitting up hurriedly. I stuck to that rule. I might need you to lie for me later, though. Solix mutters that last part. What the fuck did you do? You breathe in horror. Technically, Solix starts. Solix! You snap. Solix's shoulders pull in a little, making him look smaller and sad. This is going to be bad news, isn't it? Fuck. How bad is this going to be? Latula is here. Matuna found her. I don't know if you know, but they used to be together. When Matuna was taken, she left. She couldn't stand being there when he'd never be there again. We didn't really talk after that because I reminded her of him and she reminded me that he was gone. She's here. Matuna found her and she doesn't know about all of this. No tattoos at all, and she didn't react to mine either. Solix says softly. You didn't. Tell me you didn't tell her. Solix, you know we can't. If Reglar finds out, then everything could be in danger. They're going to talk. Reglar's her ancestor. Our whole ship could be declared a pirate vessel. You know that. We told you this. You say in horror. I didn't tell her. I didn't say anything about the balance or about the void. None of it. But I had to say something. Matuna was losing it. Solix insists, looking at you pleadingly. Your mind is already ticking through contingency plans, how to get out and away from here without alerting Redglare as to what's happened. Do you take Latula with you, if she's awake now? This is going to screw up the whole trial, but you can't let Solix get caught for this either. I didn't tell her. I did what you told me to. Technically, Solix says with a wince. What did you do? You ask again. You need to know. If you don't know, then you can't protect him. I lied. I told her that my psionics, the ones where I hear people who are about to die, that they went the same way as Aradia's. She sees ghosts. That's just a thing she could always do, and Latula knows about that. I said that, losing Matuna twisted mine a little bit that way, and I can only really do it with him, but when he died a while back, I could talk to him sometimes. I made it sound very hazy, not like he's here all the time. I told her that he knew she was with the ship she's with now instead of ours, and he told me some stuff to tell her if I ever saw her. Like, we'd talked about it in advance instead of him standing right there. That way I wasn't obviously translating a conversation between a ghost and a person who doesn't know all of this. He tells you. You didn't tell her about balancers or the void or ghosts in general. She wasn't waking up? You ask. No. And she was repairing a vehicle at the time. I had the whole conversation in there with her. We were alone. I asked her if her radios and whatever were off because I said I didn't want to sound crazy. No one can prove that my psionics can't do that, and Latula swore not to tell, Solix says. You pinch the bridge of your nose and try to think. Solix has a lot of deniability, and if you or Aradia can check Latula out and make sure that she's not awake, then you can maybe get away with this. You're going to need to get psionic to find Aradia and bring her back here so you don't make it look like you're having a secret meeting in here. Matuna was so upset. You didn't see how Latula looked at me. She thought I was him. I had to say something. Even if you don't think about the empathy part of it. How could I work with Matuna if I refused to say anything to Latula? How could I look him in the eye? He's dead, and he asked me for one thing. Solix says, though he's basically pleading with you to have some mercy here. You know that was fucking stupid, don't you? You ask him. Yes, Solix admits unhappily. You also know that you shouldn't have done that, even if you technically didn't break the rule that we gave you, that this absolutely wasn't something you should have done. You know that too, right? You persist. That's why I came right here afterwards. I wasn't going to let you wander around blind with that potential landmine around, he says. Thanks for that, at least, you mutter. I had to, Dave, Solix whispers in the dark. It's not so dark for you, not with your eyes. You can see how stressed and unhappy he is about this. I get it. You know that. It's an impossible choice, and it sucks. I fully understand that. You know how many people I had to lie to, how much I loved those people. And sure, I didn't love Bro like you love Matuna, and even if pissing Bro off had consequences, it's not the same as you and Matuna. I get that. I have a heart, man. You tell him. It's not like it was easy for you, either. Solix sighs and shuffles closer to you in the dark, his eyes downcast and his body language defeated. I know I broke the rule, even if no one can prove that I did. You two gave me an order and I went against it. Even leaving aside the fact that we're partners and you're supposed to be able to trust me, you outrank me here. We're working, you tell me to not do something and I'm supposed to not do it. I knew I had to tell you, but it was the best way I could thread that needle, okay? Solix tells you quietly. Tell me everything you told her, you say. Solix tells you, outlining every heartbreaking point bit by bit. He told Latula about what Matuna felt when he was taken and exactly how that situation went down. Solix covered that Matuna was helmed, but not in what ship or by who. Solix talked about how Matuna had missed Latula and how she had missed him, but he wasn't mad that she was still living her life. Latula hasn't been flush with anyone else since, and that's a little heartbreaking for everyone, really. Solix promised to relay Latula's feeling to Matuna, though he didn't need to, as Matuna was standing right there, as Latula said how much losing him had devastated her. She'd hoped he'd come back somehow, but she also knew deep down that he wouldn't, and Matuna had known it too. It's not top secret. It's not classified. It's just raw and awful for all three of them. I get why you did it. I get that you did it as intelligently and carefully as you could. Honestly, I can't even say that if Matuna was my ghost, or if it was one of my brothers as my ghost, someone that I loved like you love him. You trail off with a helpless gesture. You can't say that you wouldn't have done the same. But it's pretty stupid and a bad time to do it. Solix guesses. See, you already know all of this. You nod. Yeah, I know. And if I told you, I know that we should also tell Polypa and Nepeta so that they don't risk the same nasty surprise if it goes wrong. He adds unhappily. For sure. But first, I'm gonna need to get Aradia to go and check Latula out to make sure that she's not woken up without you knowing, because if she has, then we're in deep shit. Also, guess who's confined to this aircraft until we get back to our base? Guess! You say with faux cheer. I guess me? Solix says reluctantly. You guess right! Your prize is being stuck in here, and mine is another gray hair from stress, you say brightly. All of your hair is white, your whole family, Solix protests. That's how stressful you are. You got all of us. Good job, you retort. You get Solix to get Psionic over here. He manages to fetch Aradia so that you can bring her in the ship and get her up to speed. After several minutes of Aradia pointing out that Solix had literally one job, she goes off to find Latula. You both wait in tense silence for Aradia to come back with her perspective on the situation. At the very least, you appreciate that Solix doesn't sit there trying to justify himself further. You respect that he's willing to own the consequences of his actions, and that he was honest enough to come to you about what he'd done. You do get it. You get why he felt that he had to say something, even if it wasn't the whole truth. How was Matuna after you talked to Latula? You ask him in the darkness of the aircraft. Upset. Happy to see her, but I dragged Sai over without even meaning to, and he gets it, at least. I think he helped Matuna a bit. Solix answers you unhappily. Yeah, I guess with Disciple, he would get it. You nod. That's some shitty luck right there, one of them alive and one dead. Although, the pattern doesn't follow with Psionic, technically, given that Signless is also dead. Whatever. It's shitty. Even if I'd told Latula the truth, it wouldn't have meant she could see him. Matuna knows that. He hates it, but he gets it. I'd still be passing on messages for him, Solix says, clearly mad at the unfairness of it all. Weren't you talking before about the possibility of getting tech rigged up to allow ghosts to use Trollian? You ask after a moment. Then at least Mituna could talk to Latula directly, if Red Glare allows something like that. Ghosts interacting with technology isn't really something we want to encourage, is it? Solix says pointedly. Hal might feel some kind of way about that these days. I don't know. I'm sure it'd be hard to lock them out of basically everything else. Bro's gone, but GHB's still a bastard. But even so, if anyone's going to figure it out, it'd be you. You say simply. Sure, but for now, my lie covered everything I'd be able to tell Latula anyway, he says, shrugging the idea off. Still shouldn't have done it, you tell him. I know. I still couldn't live with doing anything else, he says back. Aradia returns about half an hour after she left, and her verdict is the same as Solix's. Latula isn't aware of anything about the balance at all. She's not awake. Aradia also backed up Solix's lie about his psionics and impressed upon Latula that she should keep quiet about it, that Solix doesn't like people knowing about how he can see ghosts sometimes. That ought to cover your asses for a decent amount of time. You two stay here. Get some sleep. I'll try to talk to Red Glare about the translators that we brought. Try to sway her to our side a little, and I'll let people think there's a reason that you two are in here the whole time alone. One that has nothing to do with Solix going against orders, Aradia says. You open your mouth to make some very dumb joke about Solix and discipline, but the irritated look on Aradia's face makes you reconsider. She drags the door to the aircraft shut again, leaving the two of you alone in the dark once more. I'm really glad that years with AA gave me a decent sense of when not to say something dumb, Solix says after a few seconds. Right? I was biting my tongue trying not to make a comment. You agree. You bump fists in mutual support of how terrible you both are. Okay, I'm going to sleep, you announce, and shuffle about again to stretch out to sleep on the floor, your jacket folded up under your head neatly. Fine. I should too. I am sorry for causing a situation, or risking one at least, Solix says sincerely, and moves about in the dark, trying to lay down near you. Solix shuffles this way and that, trying to work out if he can use his bag as a pillow before working out that he can't because there's too much stuff in it. Solix sits up in the dark with a sigh. I know you're mad at me. I'm not mad at you, you tell him, and watch the doubtful expression flick over his face. You can probably see him better than he can see you. Trolls have good night vision, but your eyes are simply the best there is. Fine, I know you're annoyed or despairing about what I did, he corrects. I'm not laying here seething, man. You know what you did, I know what you did. No point in being mad about it. Besides, I get it. You had selfless motives. You're all pure of heart and dumb of ass, you say with a grin, and delight in the annoyed look that he shoots your way. Cool, I no longer feel bad about using you as a human pillow. Move, he tells you, and bats at your arm to get you to drop it down in the right location for him to pillow his head on you. Solix actually drapes his whole body over yours as much as he can. Skya as a planet is pretty temperate. Even at night, it's not that cold, which makes it pretty unlikely that Solix is just doing this for your body heat and higher comfort rating than the floor. Actually, comfort may be exactly the reason for this. Solix told Latula what she wanted to know, but you'd be dumb to think that the topic wasn't still raw for him, too. Mituna still being around doesn't make his death any less traumatic for Solix. You run your hand over Solix's back in the quiet darkness of the aircraft. This makes me think of that night on the mountaintop on Somnos. I had it so bad for you, and I felt so guilty about it, Solix mumbles. Yeah, well, I had it bad too, but I was too stupid to get it, you say back softly, and stretch your neck a little to kiss the top of his head. Solix sighs in contentment. You figure that Whatever internal struggle was going around in that head of his has been solved. You can't say that you're thrilled about the potential shit show that this could cause, but you're not holding it against Solix. You're still good with him. Dropping off to sleep is easy enough. When you're working, it's very rare for you to find it hard to flip that switch and sleep on command. You sleep dreamlessly and wake up about an hour after sunrise. Given how late you were working yesterday, you think that's about right. Solix doesn't seem as keen to wake up, but you wake him anyway. He grumbles and mutters about it, but gets up all the same. Come on, let's get something to eat, you offer as you hop out of the aircraft. Fine. When we get back to our base, I'm having a shower and changing my clothes. Solix mumbles sleepily. You can change your clothes in the aircraft, you point out. Hell, he could have done that when you were in there with him. There's no point if I've not showered, Solix says sullenly. Okay, let's get some coffee and food into you, see if we can make you less of a bitch about things. You sigh dramatically, locking the aircraft and leading Solix away. Hey, less of a bitch? Not a bitch? He protests. You're always kind of a bitch. I'm being a realist. You tease him and stumble over nothing that was definitely an ever so brief psionic hold on your boot. You head into the temporary mess area. One ship's food is more or less the same as another, and the setup is largely the same. Still, it's nice to have a little variety, at least. The balancers wave you over after you've grabbed something to eat, so you go over there with Solix and sit down. As Solix starts to eat, he ends up getting pulled into an English conversation with Naxir, which, of course, is completely lost on you. Slua talks to you, and she does it in Spanish, since you're already doing more than one language at the table. So, what happened with you and your girl, then? Aradia said that she's dating her now, but you always used to talk about Jade like she hung the stars in the sky. Ah, man, these things happen. Not every long relationship makes it, you know? You say with a shrug. Or it turns out that you weren't as compatible as you thought, Dullahan says, his tone light, but the way that he's watching you is pretty weighty. We're still friends, it's not like that, you tell him. Oh, I didn't mean that. I meant him. I thought that Aradia was just joking when she made that joke, or she was talking about how he'd returned the favor when he was with her, but then you and him slip off all night together in that aircraft you came here in. It doesn't sound like a joke, so not so compatible then? Dullahan observes. None of your business! Oh my god! Slua chastises her brother. Something about the line of questioning, maybe the fact that it's being done in Spanish and not Alternian, has you frozen. You feel caught out, exposed, unsafe. But as you feel that, you remember how it felt to have Solix sleep against your side last night. He and Karkat make you happy, and it feels honest and right. Things aren't how they used to be. People being bigots about shit never truly goes away 100%, but it's way less common than it once was. Dullahan and Slua are friends of yours. Not close friends because of how little you get to see each other, but you're friendly. It'd hurt if they reacted badly to this, but if they reacted that way, doesn't that mean that they would actually be people that you don't want to associate with at all? We're dating. I'm dating another guy too, his Moiro, you say simply. It's easier to explain it like that than lay out the smeared multi-quadrant mess that the three of you have going on. So you just found out you were gay then? Wow, you move quick. Why can't I get a boyfriend that fast? Slua complains, resting her chin on her hands. I'm not gay. It's complicated, you say awkwardly. You should have just agreed to that. They don't need to know. Solix's psionics skitter up your leg, from your knee to halfway up the outside of your thigh. His eyes flick to you ever so briefly, but he's clearly acting like he's listening to Naxir. The look was one of ever so brief concern. Clearly he's picking up enough of your tone to wonder if you're okay. Sure, gay, it's different with trolls, right? Slua shrugs. That's not... whatever, it's been an eventful time lately. Everyone's finding shit out that they didn't know about on my ship. You laugh a little weakly. It sounds like it. He seems nice, though. He's willing to listen to our guy drone on and on, at least. Dillahan laughs softly, dodging calling out Naxera by name and having him realize that they're talking about him. He is very cute. Slua grins. Oh, I know. You smile. Well, good. You deserve to have things go your way for once, man. Dillahan nods in approval, unknowingly lifting a weight from your shoulders. It'd be a nice change. You agree. You stretch your legs out under the table and let yours gently brush against Solix's. Solix's eyes flick over to you, and seeing that you're more relaxed now, he relaxes too, and then promptly switches his empty coffee mug for yours and drinks it. You asshole! You gasp in offense, and Solix snickers at you. Right, it was the hate one, right? Slua chuckles, and even Dillahan is grinning at your irritation. You need backup here. Karkat, I know that even our personal messages may end up as public record, but I'm counting on that. This needs to be public record. Oh no, what's wrong? Solix's captor is a dirty, rotten coffee thief, and that needs to be on record forever. Firstly, allow that to be public record. I agree. Secondly, you woke me up, so I was worried that something had gone wrong. Oh. Oops. I have a response for that, but it's not one that I'm willing to put on the public record. Allow yourself to imagine it. Let it also be public record that Karkat Vantis is very cool and doesn't ever hold grudges. Very believable. I'm going to get my own coffee now, and no one will steal it. Oh, man. Bye, Dave. My other boyfriend isn't backing me up on the injustice of having Solix steal my coffee. You pout. I don't know what you said, but I know my own name, Solix says in Alternian. I'm so proud of you. Maybe after this we can move on to teaching you shapes and colors, you say back immediately in Alternian. Solix stares at you while flipping you off and drinking your coffee. God, he's insufferable and you're crazy about him. You know... Dillahan pauses as his palm husk pings, as does Slua's and Naxera's. What? Solix starts to ask, but then his palm husk pings at the same time that yours does. Red Glare wants you in her office. Well, okay then. You leave your food where it is and get up immediately. Solix hastily downs his stolen coffee and gets to his feet to follow after you. The other balancers lead the way. It's their base, after all, and they're more familiar with the layout than you are. As you walk, you see Latula across the way, or more accurately, you have a moment of surprise at seeing Red Glare somewhere that you didn't expect her to be, but then you catch that it's the wrong pyrope. Unsurprisingly, Psionic and Matuna are hovering around her. Not that she's aware of them at all. God, that situation sucks. When you make it to Red Glare's office, you find that it's the same kind of blank, frill-free situation that Polypa and Nepeta tend to set up on bases when they're working. Nothing fancy is needed, just somewhere to get work done, that's all. Red Glare doesn't invite you to sit down, so you stand. The decision to do so is all the easier for the fact that Aradia was already here and on her feet waiting for you. You catch her eye and get no hint that Red Glare has discovered Solix's dumb transgression, so you act like it's all cool. When the door is shut, Red Glare speaks in a composed and calm tone. Naturally, this is far too short of a time frame to begin a proper trial. However, I've reviewed the case put forward by your ship and talked to the defendant. There absolutely looks to be a case to prosecute here. The former captain has agreed to be entirely transparent with everything. It's very refreshing. I appreciate when someone is so firm in their convictions that they believe that they have nothing to hide. Doesn't everyone have something to hide? Aradia wonders. Smart. Yes, they do. I'm more inclined to take her testimony into account, given that she's willing to state on record things that Mindfang and Dr. Lalonde have done and said to her, as well as the balancer that came from them to your ship. Red Glare smiles darkly. You're still looking into that? You say in surprise. You know that she had an interest in prosecuting your mother. That trial was the whole reason that Bro was a ghost in the first place. She's the reason that you ended up with your dad. You're grateful. You're not surprised that she's got the one that got away, obsessive mindset that Terezi has. But you didn't know that she was still actively pursuing prosecution now that your mother's gone pirate.
Mindfang is a notorious criminal and a pirate. Thankfully, her main ship now is the former Empress's ship, which is incredibly distinctive, to say the least. Giant, bright red, trident-looking thing. Obviously, she has more subtle methods of getting around as well.
With that, Redglare spares a glance for Solix.
But any information we can find out about her or Dr. Lalonde and how their actions may be influencing the fleet, the better.
And what does that mean for the people who rebelled against the former captain on our ship? Aradia asks.
My view is that this is likely going to end up as some degree of professional misconduct and being unfit for duty, assuming that she plays this intelligently. If she doesn't, then she'll be facing far more severe punishments for her actions. Either way, the mutiny is not likely to be an issue. Or if it is, then it'll be to a degree where your ship will be handling any punishments that they see fit. A local matter, rather than a fleet command decision.
Redglare says lightly. You let out a relieved breath. Your family is off the hook, more or less. That's amazing news. I assume that this is all off the record until any actual trial happens, you say.
Naturally.
Redglare nods. And what about everyone knowing about the balance? Solix asks, and the other balancers are definitely interested in that question.
Redglare reclines in her chair with a little sigh. Personally, I don't think it needed to be a secret in the beginning. Obviously, you can tell people in a bad way, and it has to be handled with care. There is the unavoidable issue that we cannot choose who our balancers are or make the job truly optional. A lot of the verdict as to how that will be decided is going to hinge on the former captain's trial and the evidence that she submits and what she says on the stand. The bottom line is that your ship is likely going to be a test case as to what happens if a whole ship knows, beyond Dr. Lalonde's experiments, of course.
Redglare stands up and slides open a drawer, pulling out one of Karkat and Hal's translation devices.
This really is a clever bit of technology, one that the whole fleet is going to need soon. It would be a shame if we couldn't all have this, because we're not allowed to communicate with a ship that's broken the rules about the secrecy of the void. I think that if your ship follows the proposed guidelines submitted by your ship's council, placing strict filters on what your messages are allowed to say, blocking access to your social media from other ships, and not hosting any ship-to-ship visits until this is sorted, well, I can see that being an easy agreement to make. Your ship wouldn't have to be cut off. But, of course, this all still needs to be negotiated and is off of the record. But if you wanted to bet on it, it'd be smart to bet on that level of communication to the fleet being restored.
Redglare says with a smile. God damn, Karkat and Hal saving the day. You'll have to tell them, even if it'll make them both insufferable. That's really great to hear, Solix says with some relief. He just needs to keep it to exactly that amount of relief and no more, or else Redglare's going to wonder what other motives Solix might have for wanting the restrictions on who can talk to who about what relaxed. You're excused from Redglare's temporary office. You get out without probably blowing any big secrets or getting yourself court-martialed or anything else to that degree. You intend to keep it that way, and so you and Aradia beat a casual but speedy retreat back to the aircraft and managed to get Solix in there with you without breaking any more orders or committing any more crimes. Matuna and Psionic aren't with you, but nor is Damara, and as you don't need to worry about leaving them behind, they're not a concern for leaving. You relax a lot more when you're up in the air.
That seemed pretty promising, Aradia says over the headsets.
It's out of our hands now, one way or another. We'll know more soon. I hope so, anyway. You nod.
Why do I have to sit in the back by myself?
Solix interrupts with a petulant kind of tone about him. Well, if I sit in the back, then the aircraft crashes, you say simply.
And I called shotgun,
Aradia adds.
No, you didn't.
Solix argues, and you glance at the door from the cockpit to the open back of the aircraft that Solix is in. Sure enough, he's glaring at Aradia. You get automatic shotgun when you're the person that's had the training to land this thing if I have a sudden brain aneurysm and die on the spot. You tell him. You just had a physical before we left. Solix frowns.
That's why it's sudden. Keep up.
Aradia chirps. Can we not talk about Dave dying? He asks.
Everyone dies,
Aradia says sagely.
Leica, you outrank her, right? Make her shut up,
Solix says to you. Rank is a little weird. Technically speaking, in a situation like this, you do outrank Aradia, but she outranks you if she's doing anything geological or archaeological. Essentially, the two of you are on even footing unless your roles come into play. Arguably, you've served for longer than she has, and you've got more off-ship hours than her by a long shot, but you also have enough experience with Aradia to know that ordering her to shut up will not work at all. More importantly, Solix ought to know that too.
Oh, that's insubordination!
Aradia cackles and hops out of her seat. You hear Solix yelp in alarm, and Aradia laugh as she chases him around in the back of the aircraft. You scan the horizon and look over the clouds in the sky. It's pretty smooth flying. Glancing back for a moment, you see that Aradia's got Solix in a headlock. Grinning to yourself, you face forward again and continue flying. Aradia returns to her seat a few minutes later. She's not really supposed to leave for very long at all, but you're fine. In reality, even if you did suddenly bite the big one, you know that Solix could easily carry this whole aircraft without any sweat at all. Aradia probably couldn't carry something this big for long enough to land it, but she can easily get out with all of you and fly to the ground on her own power. The rules of how you fly were really set up assuming that there isn't going to be anyone with psionics like that on board.
So, what now?
Solix asks, sometime after surviving Aradia's vengeance. Now we're heading back to our own base camp, you tell him.
Okay, and then what? Are we just processing carapations that arrive, or are we going out to find them?
Nepeta and Polypa prepared us for both, but it wasn't really clear what we were going to be doing. It's more like that's the things we anticipated might happen, Solix points out. When we left, there was a decent enough stream of people coming in that we don't have to go out looking for people. We're only going to do that if there's an emergency and we're called to help, or if we don't have enough people getting to us because the infrastructure leading to us is fucked. You explain.
We don't want to leave with fewer people than we can take. We want as many people getting away as we can. On the other hand, we can't make people leave if they don't want to, Aradia adds.
I can't imagine wanting to stay. Being stuck on a dying planet seems so... Solix doesn't finish that sentence. You know that he's been dreaming of your great-grandfather, even if he doesn't fully remember it. Things still bleed over into his waking mind, regardless of how much he's conscious of it. It doesn't take a lot to imagine that this particular sentiment is coming from him. Which isn't to say that Solix can't and wouldn't think that being stuck on a dying planet is bad. That's a perfectly sensible thought. It's just that the look on his face tells you that he partly remembers the feeling of watching that happen to someone, even if he can't grab the memories themselves. It's hard to know what to say to Solix. You don't want to sit here and justify reasons why someone might want to stay on this planet. You can think of reasons why people might want to stay behind, though. If someone can't make it to a ship before it goes, then you can see why someone who could make it might want to stay behind with them. Why someone might prefer to stay with someone even if it means dying. To stay with them rather than live without them. You bet there are people like you down here, too, dedicated to doing their job and working hard to get people to their ships out of here. How long do you keep doing that job before throwing the towel in and getting the hell out of Dodge yourself? Could you ask someone to give up saving people to save themselves? Even if they'd know them stopping their job to leave would certainly stop others from leaving in the process. Some people will stay behind to get everyone else out. There's just people like that in the universe. There isn't anything you can do about that. There just isn't. You can only get out who you can get out. Your ship can only carry so many people. Even now, your ship is making a whole new ship for the Carapacians, working against the clock to make it bigger and better, but there's still a finite limit to the number of people that you can bring. It's out of your hands, and you're doing what you can.
When we get back to the base, Polypa will tell us what she needs us to do. Don't worry about it.
You tell Solix, instead of saying any of that. Solix evidently decides that's good enough, and settles back across the bench seats in the main body of the aircraft. Aradia looks around at him a little later, and tells you that he's messing with his translator. You'd bet that he's studying up on his Carapacian. After that conversation about the languages that you speak bits of, and how you've picked up the beginnings of Carapacian, you'd bet that he's trying to do the same to compete with you. Well, that, and Solix is a naturally curious and intelligent person.
Look, on our two,
you say to Aradia after some time. Aradia leans forward in her seat and peers out of the window of the cockpit. From the way that she turns to the screen between you and taps at it to bring up what you're looking at, you guess that she can't see what you see. What you see is a billowing line of dark smoke. Something's on fire up ahead. Fire. It's in the direction of the city, Aradia says grimly. What? Solix says from the back, and suddenly he's leaning into the cockpit between you and Aradia. Base, this is Megalodon. Do you read me? Aradia says over the comms. Megalodon, we read you. We have your coordinates. What's your status? A sailor says back right away. Base, we're en route to you, but Laika has spotted a burning building on our 2. Do we know if local emergency services have everything covered, or should we assess and assist? Aradia asks. Solix smartly keeps his mouth shut, but he's peering through the windscreen trying to see what you can plainly see in the distance. You're not yet close enough that you can make out people from the smoke, or assess just how much of a danger this building is yet, but you don't want to take your eyes off it and miss data. Megalodon, does Laika have a visual? The base operator says.
Base, I have a visual. You're welcome to see what I see if you want.
You offer. Affirmative, Laika. Connecting now. Stand by. The base operator tells you. The edge of your vision goes red-ringed to tell you that someone is accessing it. You glance from the building to the readouts on the controls. When all that's done, you stare at the building once more and try to keep your gaze steady and focused. We have an ID on the building based on our maps. We're going to liaise with the locals. Stand by for orders. Over and out. The base operator says, and the call cuts, as does the red ring around your vision. I can't see... Oh. Solix looks at the screen between you and Aradia. With the call gone, it's showing the image of the building on the long-range cameras on full screen again. You can see that from here? All I can see is... a gray cloud, maybe? Solix asks uncertainly as he squints out of the window again.
My long range when I'm all the way up here is pretty great. Besides, it's mostly a clear day, so I can see even further away. My view's better than that, you tell him, tapping a finger on the edge of the monitor. We're going to wait. If the local services and rescue have it under control, then we'll leave it. Bursting in when something is already planned will only make things more dangerous, but if they want assistance, then we'll do what we can, Aradia explains. Should we get the rescue equipment and harnesses out just in case? Solix asks. Good thinking. If they don't need us, then the worst thing that happens is you have to put them away again. I'll help. I just have to keep coming back to check on Laika, Aradia says. Audio checks are fine. It's just the 3 of us, so getting everything ready takes priority, you assure her.
Aradia nods and climbs out of her seat and heads into the back with Solix. Megalodon, do you read me? This is base. The operator calls back about 10 minutes later. Base, this is Megalodon. I read you, Aradia's voice says through your headset. We have word from local services that they're overwhelmed. They're handling the rescue of people on the lower floors, and they're suppressing the fire in the middle levels on their own. It looks like they've got about 10 people trapped on the roof that they're going to need air support to evacuate. They've been trying to get their own services to it, but if you're available, then they'd be very grateful, the base tells you. You kick the speed of the ship up, slowly enough that you don't send Solix and Aradia rolling around in the back, but enough to speed up how long it'll take you to get there. You don't generally tear around at max speed above populated areas, and you hadn't wanted to thrash it on the way here in case you went past them before base got back to you with a decision. But now you can really let the speed pick up.
Affirmative, base. We're ready for an air rescue. Can you confirm that we're bringing the civilians back to the base for medical care, if not planned evacuation?
Aradia checks.
Affirmative. How far out are you now?
Base asks.
Base, this is Laika. At our current speed, our ETA is 5 minutes.
You tell them.
Copy that, Laika. Keeping the channel open now. Requesting visuals for the duration.
Base asks.
Granted.
You agree, and once more, your vision becomes red-ringed. I'm going to look up the phrases that we'll need, Solix says, probably thinking that his communication isn't open still, but it is.
Duelist, good idea.
You tell him, hoping that he'll realize. You stare at the building as you streak through the sky. The building itself and the burning middle layer is clear now. The wind shifts, and you can see the shapes of people at the corner of the roof, sensibly staying out of the smoke as much as possible.
Base, do you see this?
You ask.
Affirmative, Laika.
Base confirms. You flick into crisis management mode as you confirm with Aradia and Solix that they're all strapped in for the rescue, and they have the rescue harnesses at the ready. You know that Solix has all of the instruction manuals for everything on his tablet, so you hope that he's also refreshing his memory of how to use them. You're close enough to make out the faces of the people on the building now, and they see you too. They're waving their arms to try to get your attention.
Megalodon, I think I can angle the ship enough to blow the smoke away from the victims. It'll make the descent angle awkward, but your visual is going to be awful otherwise. You can clear your way around the ship, right?
You ask.
Affirmative.
Aradia agrees, knowing full well that she's going to have to use her psionics a little to make that trip down smoother. You trust that she can quietly tell Solix the same, or she's already been switching their mics off to explain things off of comms to him. He's close enough for her to shout to him if she has to. You settle the ship in the air and do your best to keep it as steady as can be, which isn't super easy in the rough updraft of a fire, but you can do it. Again, you're not some pro pilot. You're okay at most things, but you're far from the very best there is at anything. Still, you're very motivated to be good at this right now. You hesitate for a moment, but then you open a call to Solix alone.
Duelist, this is a direct channel between us. Everything can still be recalled.
I know how mission data works. I was also at that meeting. Solix says, a little sharply, but you can hear an edge to his voice that you're not used to.
Sure, I was there when you were there, if you want to get real recursive about this shit. My point was that you've only done this before in training, so I'm gonna be right here if you need me to walk you through any of it.
You say back, keeping your voice calm and collected. It's stupid. I can fly. I've been higher up than this on Somnos. Why is standing near the edge of this ship when I'm strapped into a harness somehow... Solix trails off, and you think you can almost hear him shudder.
I can't speak for trolls, but humans have self-preservation instincts around heights baked into them. It's probably easier for trolls to put that in the DNA that everyone gets, and let those of you that can fly feel dumb about being spooked. You tell him, and gently adjust the yaw of the aircraft ever so slightly. You were starting to list a little to one side with the shifting of the smoke. Okay, that was a stupidly obvious solution. I'm good now. Solix mutters. What was obvious? Hold on.
You switch back to public as Aradia starts to speak.
Base, Laika, our visuals are steady and safety checks are all passed. I'll descend first, and when I've landed and reported, then Duelist will follow. I have the translation of our most anticipated phrases set up on the translator. Over.
Aradia says in your ear.
This is Base. We copy. Laika to run operations until otherwise stated. Do you copy?
Base Controls says back.
This is Megalodon. Me and Duelist copy that.
Aradia agrees. It's expected that as you're the one flying the ship, then you're the one calling the shots. If the base has any big orders, they can tell you, but Aradia and Solix don't need to be pinging their orders to a third party to get back to you when you're right here. Of course, you all know that, but the handover has to be official.
Laika here. Copy that.
You agree. You switch back to your channel with Solix and ask,
what was obvious?
If I levitate, I don't feel weird about heights. I'm an inch off the floor and I'm fine now. I think Aradia's... Solix falters as Aradia's audio cuts in for the both of you over the public channel.
Ready to descend,
Aradia says. Descend when ready, you echo back. It's the same pattern of words for when you climb, just a different direction. Descending now, Aradia confirms. Aye, aye, you say back, and catch Aradia zip down below you on the monitor. You've got her perfectly lined up with the roof. Aye, aye, Solix asks skeptically and in a slightly mocking tone. It's just what you say. You need to move to the edge of the door if you're not there already. Hands where I showed you, you remind him. Aradia already checked me, and I read up on it. I'm fine, Solix insists. Okay, I'm switching back to the public channel for now. Your actual instructions have to be on there, but I'll keep this open. I'm watching Megalodon for now, okay? You say. I'm good, Solix says with confidence, and you're going to take that at face value. You trained him, Aradia checked him, and as he points out, he can fly. You don't need to fuss. Megalodon, report, you call out. I'm detaching the first rescue harness now. We've got 11 souls here. One is an infant with a parent. I'm taking them first with me. We also have a carapacian missing a leg. It's an old injury, though, not one that needs current attention. The one with the missing leg is pretty badly bruised and unsteady. Over, Aradia calls. Fuck, that's not ideal. Copy that, Megalodon. Retrieve the parent and child as one. I'll send Duelist down now and he can start on the amputee. When you've got the parent and child secure up here, you can get the stretcher bed set up. Duelist, when you've got your injured carapacian up here, then you'll assist Megalodon in securing them in the stretcher. Copy? You ask. Both of them copy that they got your orders. You peer at the screen showing the building below, and yeah, you can see who Aradi is talking about. Duelist, are you in position? You ask, prompting him to get there if not. Yes, ready to descend, Solix says back right away. Descend when ready, you tell him. Descending now, Solix says, and you appreciate that he's not joking about with the safety checks, but you can still hear that he sounds amused because of what you're about to say. Aye, aye, you say. You glance down at the screen again and see Solix zip past the camera, but not so fast that your eyes can't snag a still frame of him grinning about you saying aye, aye. You know it sounds silly, but it's just what you say so that everyone knows that you've got all the instructions! Megalodon requesting ascent? Aradia calls up. You check the readouts, and yeah, you're steady enough for a slow ascent with 2 rescue victims. Granted, you tell her. Ascending now, Aradia tells you. Aye, aye, you say again, and just feel Solix's amusement. You focus very hard on keeping the ship as steady as you can when Aradia comes up. You know damn well that you could kick Aradia and Solix in the chest to get them out of the ship and they'd land just fine, but bringing up civilian rescue victims is a whole different matter. These people are already hurt and scared. You don't want them to flail around in the air and terrify them further. You nudge the controls ever so slightly in each direction to compensate for every little change in the wind around you, and it seems like you're doing all right. Aradia calls out when she's on board and straps the parent and child in place in the same seat. You don't hear her talking, but given the noise of the ship, you'd bet that she's just showing the carapacian her translator screen. A little light comes on at the far corner of your display to tell you that the stretcher bed is no longer locked away, which means that Aradia is going to be setting it up. Below you, Solix is finishing getting his carapacian in the rescue harness. You know that you showed him how to do it. You're not going to pick at him. Aradia calls out that she has the bed ready for the patient, so you clear Solix to come up. You watch as Solix ascends, holding on to the one-legged carapacian. The wind shifts the smoke towards you, and you have to adjust to stay in place, but you manage it. Solix gets inside, and he and Aradia immediately go to secure the carapacian in the bed. When all of the safeties are in place, you confirm that they can leave again, this time together, since Aradia's already assessed the situation. Keeping the ship steady is hard, but it's going really well. Now that you're not a balancer any longer, you could maybe specialize in other things. You'd still want to keep your jack-of-all-trades status, but it could be nice to get some deeper training so you could help more. You'd be doing it because you wanted to, not because you had to be a sailor. You've never had a career choice to make before, because it's never really been a choice in any meaningful way. The idea seems kind of nice, actually. Despite how steady you're keeping things, your heart is in your throat the whole time until everyone is safely on board.
Base. All crew and 11 souls on board. Over.
You report.
Excellent work. Come back to base.
Base control says back. Wait, 11 souls and us? I have a soul. I don't know about you two. Solix says, still on the public channel when base control is on the line.
Base, this is Megalodon. Does Laika still have command?
Aradia asks from her place in the co-pilot seat. Affirmative, Megalodon. Base confirms. They've not officially got around to changing that yet since Solix decided to talk.
Laika, permission to order Duelist to shut the hell up?
Aradia asked cheerfully.
Permission granted, Megalodon. You agree with a grin.
Duelist, shut the hell up,
Aradia says with a smile a mile wide.
Resetting command status now. Come back to base. You did great work today. Over.
Base control says with obvious amusement in their tone. In the background, you can hear Solix's offended noise, but he shuts the hell up anyway. You fly home and check in every few minutes with Aradia to confirm that you're still okay, as it takes her and Solix about an hour to go around assessing everyone's injuries and getting their details so that they can be handed over to the medical team on your base for assessment. Even if they weren't hurt in their escape up to the roof, there's no way that inhaling all that smoke is good for anyone. They'll need to be assessed and properly treated, as well as given their own IDs so they're ready to be sent up to the ship. As you draw closer to your base, you're dreaming of getting lunch, a stress nap, and then maybe you could see if anyone smuggled some good coffee down here. Someone always does. Sometimes it's you, but this time you figure that you were already involved in enough chaos without running some under-the-table coffee heist. Maybe next time. You land the aircraft and wait as all of your Carapacian passengers are escorted off. You sit through checking the vehicle back into the base, making sure that someone gets to check that it still has the same number of engines and wheels that you left with. You've never destroyed a vehicle or done more than ding one a little bit, not like some people. Either way, checks are checks. I can't believe you two ordered me to shut up. Solix huffs when you're finally free. He's clearly not actually annoyed and is just teasing. Aw, poor thing. It worked, though. Aradia laughs. It's a first, you say with a grin. I've always been able to get him to shut up, Aradia says lightly, but she's got a mischievous sparkle in her eyes that lets you know just what she means. I don't think it's the telling him to shut up that makes that happen, though. It's the other stuff, you point out. Yeah, between you and Karkat, there isn't space for me to say anything at all. You two don't shut up! Solix shoots back. I wouldn't be complaining about being between Dave and Karkat if I were you. Aradia laughs loudly. Not complaining. I wouldn't, anyway. Dave and Karkat are both entirely petty enough to make me regret that, Solix says flatly. Good. Smart choice. You snort and slide your arm around his shoulders. You're just teasing him. You like him way too much to be doing anything else. He's got a point, though. No one harbors a petty grudge like Karkat. He'll forgive me for lying to him about the balance for forever, but he's never going to let me forget about how I pushed him off the slide in 2nd grade. Aradia sighs with a fond smile on her face. Everyone likes Karkat. How can anyone not? He really hasn't let that go. He's a petty, petty man. Solix agrees. And you love him, you say in a teasing sing-song tone. And I love him, Solix agrees. It's okay. We all have Karkat-itis. You two just have a terminal case. Aradia laughs. She slaps you on the shoulder hard enough to make you stagger and walks off cackling. You and Solix watch her go, her long hair flying wild behind her as the sound of her unfettered amusement drifts on the wind. So, I'm not into women. I worked that out. But, like, strong, cheerfully intimidating, powerful ladies like her and Jade, you say slowly. There's still something there. An aesthetic attraction or a personality thing, maybe? Yeah. Solix groans slightly. He is still attracted to Aradia. He's just not in love with her like that anymore. Her and Jade are really good together, you say after a moment's thought. They really are a nice match. Yeah, her and Jade together, Solix echoes, but his tone suggests that he's thinking of them a little differently to what you had in mind. You look at him and see that, sure enough, his face is definitely giving him away. Solix likes Aradia still, and clearly the idea of her and Jade... Oh, hey, that feeling in your chest is jealousy. You're kind of annoyed that he's thinking about his ex and your ex like that when he's yours. It's dumb. You know that's not happening, and he has no intentions of making that happen, but you still don't like it. You catch Solix's chin and make him look at you. You quickly kiss him, hard and intently enough to drag all of his attention back from whatever situation he was picturing Jade and Aradia in. When you let him go, Solix is staring at you, dazed and flustered. Maybe you and Karkat have even more in common than you thought. You, too, are a petty, petty man. Whoa, what was that about? Solix asks breathlessly. Nothing, let's get lunch, you say and walk off, knowing that he's going to run right after you. You're right. Solix hurries his skinny little ass right after you into the temporary mess hall. You want food, a sit down on a chair that you're allowed to sit in however you like because it's not sculpted for ideal flight position and nothing else, that's all. As you're in line to pick up your food, you catch sight of Jake, who waves at you. He's sitting with Asdaja and Cornell. You grab your food, which is macaroni cheese with ground moo beast. The fact that it says that does not make that what this is, but it's fine. You'll eat your vaguely cheese-tasting mush and deal with it. Your face, Solix! Jake snorts as you sit down next to him. What is this? How is this? Why is this? Solix asks in despair as he sits down opposite you and next to Asdaja. That one does tend to make philosophers of us all. Just don't look at it or think about it and eat it, Asdaja advises, having already got through his and is now taking his time on the nicer parts of this particular meal allotment. I hear you were a big hero today. Jake grins at you. Did you? You ask, between mouthfuls. You sat on your ass and we jumped out of an aircraft to rescue people, Solix argues immediately. Nice, work smarter, not harder. Asdaja grins and holds his fist to you, which you bump. Right time, right place, you say and shovel food into your face. Of course. How was the handover? Jake asks. He wants to know how his grandmother is. Why wouldn't he? You have to tell him, but this is hardly the place, but you need to say something. It was peaceful. She didn't try to headbutt me in the face or anything. Red Glare did a preliminary interview, or whatever you want to call it. Later, though. That's when we'll find out more, you say, emphasizing the later part. You'll tell Jake more, but you can't do it here. Jake nods, and you can tell that he's caught your drift. Later, of course. There's processes to these things. You nod in your agreement and fill your mouth with macaroni instead of classified information. Does eating it faster make it taste better? Solix asks you dubiously, poking at his food with his fork. Never miss a meal if you can help it. Psionics need power, Cornell says sagely. It's also awful for a shorter amount of time, and you never know when you're going to have to get up and go back to work, so I'd eat it as soon as you can, Asdaja adds. I can't say it tastes better cold, either, Jake adds lightly. Yeah, but you're eating it like I'm going to come and steal it from you. No one's gonna... Solix starts. You make a loud noise with your mouth full, and Asdaja slaps his hand over Solix's mouth. Eat and don't say stupid things, Asdaja warns him. Yeah, stupid things like no one's going to come in here and make you stop eating out of nowhere. It's just tempting fate. Okay. I forget how weirdly superstitious you all... Solix starts. Solix! Jake shouts at him. All right! Solix protests. Dave, Solix, come quick! Aradia shouts from the doorway. You swallow your mouthful of macaroni, giving Solix a look that could kill. You grab the things from your plate that you can stuff in your pockets and throw your fork down. It pings off of your tray and onto Sollux's. Sollux himself is looking pretty sheepish under the angry glares of everyone around your table. You lead the walking jinx machine out of the temporary mess hall and spot Aradia from across the way. She waves you over urgently. You jog over there with as much energy as you're willing to do on a very recent stomach full of awful macaroni. Aradia is gathered around a group of carapacians who all seem pretty amped up about something. They're all already wearing their IDs, so you get a look at their translated names as you get close. Carapacian names are a little weird in that they seem to be weird descriptors of people or concepts and not names as you know them. Case in point, you have Nervous Broad standing next to Ace Dick and Pickle Inspector. Next to Aradia, there are two carapacians talking to Aradia, namely Hysterical Dame and Problem Sleuth. Problem Sleuth is holding something wrapped up in their arms and shaking their head.
What's up, Megalodon?
You ask her as you come to a stop. This group just got here, and I was making their ID cards, Aradia says. You're about to ask her why you're supposed to give a shit about that and why she interrupted your meal for it when you see it. There's an ID card pinned to the bundle in Problem Sleuth's arms. On it, in all caps, is Reader. Reader, they're here, you whisper in awe. That was Fazer's ghost's name, right? Sollux asks uncertainly. It is. It's them, Aradia tells him. We need to get them on the next elevator up, you say. There's no way you can risk Reader not getting up to the ship safely. You get the feeling that loops in time shouldn't really be fucked with. The science isn't in on that one, but you're gonna take a wild goddamn guess and not do something that obviously makes some kind of paradox happen. Yeah, you're gonna want to listen to this. They say they're not going, Aradia tells you. This thing does not do well with several people talking at once, Sollux mutters, looking at his translation screen. You frown and pull your own out. You're having it feed directly to your eyes, so you just need to type out your responses to get a translation, but there's still a lot going on. I have to go and bring him here. You all should stay with Unknown and keep them safe. I will come back with him. That looked like that was Problem Sleuth talking. That's the nice thing about being able to read the translation and look at the carapacians at the same time. You can see whose mouth is moving in real time. This is a little bit more complex than the other conversations that you've had so far, though, so you turn your translator around to them and type out your message to it one-handed and send it across to the translator to get switched to carapacian.
Hi, sorry, can you explain what the problem is here so we can help?
You have to add punctuation, because if you don't, the translation program doesn't like it. Or at least, you have to add some punctuation. Karkat was very clear about that. Problem Sleuth and their group look down at your translator for a moment so they can read. We're still missing people. My significant other / partner / spouse / quadrant has stayed back, and his people won't leave without him. I won't go without him, Problem Sleuth says. We won't go without you, Hysterical Dame says. You can't really tell tone yet, but you're going to assume that she says it hysterically. You don't actually know her gender, but since Dame is in the name, that's probably a fair guess. No, you stay here, Problem Sleuth says. Do you even think that you can convince him to leave? He isn't very reasonable, Pickle Inspector adds.
If you won't leave without this person, then do you need help getting him? Why won't he come?
You ask. The carapacians all look at each other and then at you. I asked this. They said we won't understand, Aradia says quietly. We talked to aliens before at other places on the way. We all know you don't understand, Ace Dick says simply.
Could you try to explain it again?
You ask. We don't have time for this. I have to go back, Problem Sleuth insists. We need Reader on the ship. We can't let them go. We need to get these people and bring them back here, Aradia says quietly. Should I go catch Polypa up? Get her to agree to whatever mission this is? Sollux asks. Yes, do that. I'll keep you updated. Go. Aradia nods, and Solix flies off, attracting stares from the Carapacians as he goes.
We can help you find who you need to find. Tell me how many people you need to find, anything we need to know about them to get them here. Are they hurt? Do you know where they are?
Problem Sleuth looks uncertain, but Hysterical Dame cuts in with all of the intel you could ask for. There are 4 of them, but if you get my significant other / partner / spouse / quadrants, significant other / partner / spouse / quadrant, to come along, then the rest of the group will go with. They all follow him. They will be in the middle of Midnight City. They want to fight
Unknown.
If you are looking for them, then just listen for trouble and chaos, and there they are.
Listen for stupid plans, Problem Sleuth says with an annoyed expression.
Oh, wait. Pitch?
Aradia wonders, and it's a good question. Sorry, my translator is still being improved. It isn't sure what you mean when you talk about who this person is to you, or who you two are to each other. Could you explain it more for me? You ask, knowing that somewhere above you, Karkat is proud that you're getting the romantic gossip.
Hysterical Dame is my
significant other / partner / spouse / quadrant. We're in a relationship.
Problem Sleuth gestures vaguely. I've got this, hold on. Like this? Aradia asks, and turns her palm husk around. You crane your neck to see what appears to be a Redron-themed mashup to romantic music, snippets of film and TV moments cut together of all kinds of red relationships. A few of the Carapacians seem a little flustered by this, but they all nod. You tap at the translation and note that it's implying something more analogous to a red relationship. The more that you all clarify things, the better the software gets.
And the person we are looking for? You ask.
It's not like that. He's dangerous and stupid and smart. How do you describe this? Problem Sleuth looks at the others helplessly. He is not you? Everything you are, but backwards. Wrong way up? Other?
Flighty Broad suggests. We have something like that. We call it hate. The one who just left is that to me. He is like me, but he's strong and he needs challenging. He's competitive. I can't leave him alone.
You falter, not sure how to describe this. To put into words how Solix gets under your skin in the best way, and how you absolutely cannot resist rising to the bait every time. You can't leave well enough alone, and it's all a big game, but you love to play it. You can't stop. It makes me feel...
Medical. Skin irritation, possible infection. Problem Sleuth agrees.
Yes, it's like I'm allergic to him! You agree gleefully, and hastily translate that, only for Problem Sleuth to read it and grin. So his quadrant is being stupid, and we need to take him there to go and argue sense into him. Got it. Aradia says as she types away on her palm husk.
Any word from Polypa? You ask.
Solix is just relaying all of it now, but... she's just confirmed. Yes, we can go. If the 3 of us pick a team and 2 vehicles, then we can go. Aradia confirms.
Okay, we can get the rest of you set up here so that you're safe. Problem Sleuth can come with us, and if you show us where to go, then we can take you there and you can convince your Kismesis to come back here. We will bring you all back, and then you can take the elevator. You write out carefully.
It's the safest way, Problem Sleuth tells the others. They don't all look happy about it, though. I will go with you. Can I have some time first? They ask.
Of course. We need to get our things ready to go, and we will come find you when we're ready.
You agree. I'll take them somewhere to get them settled, and I'll make sure that Reader stays and they don't all slip off somewhere. Aradia says quietly and calmly, as if she's just talking about boring details. She's trying not to let on that you need them to stay, Reader especially. The Carapacians nod in agreement and follow Aradia as she leads them off to somewhere to rest and store their things. You give it a few seconds before you bolt off back to the mess hall to find your little crew. In the end, you manage to recruit Jake, Marsty, Cornel, Asdaja, and Lank. They'll be joining you, Aradia, and Solix in your quest to take Problem Sleuth wherever she? needs to go to get this Kismesis and his group back here so that Reader will be on your ship like they're supposed to.
This all sounds very convoluted,
Jake says, leaning on the door to one of the large all-terrain trucks. I know, but it's gotta happen. You shrug. My understanding of this situation is that it's entirely Solix's fault for jinxing everyone. Lonk comments.
You weren't even there!
Solix protests.
No, he's got you there.
Jake agrees, and Canella and Asdaja both nod. I still want to know why this guy is so set on being in the city and not coming here. They said we wouldn't understand, so I'm thinking this is either something the Carapacians have tried to explain to humans and trolls and it's just too culture or species specific, or we're just not translating it right. You tell them. If we don't know why, then we're just relying on Problem Sleuth to tell us the reasoning. Marsti says, finishing the thought for you.
This feels like the kind of thing that we could use Karkat for. He's better at this relationship mapping stuff,
Solix says with a sigh. He doesn't get here until tomorrow, and we need to do this now. We can always call him if we need that. Not to mention, he's better at understanding the language than any of us. You say, it's just going to work out that way.
Weren't you supposed to be going back tomorrow? Dirk made a whole chart about it when we're here or there and color-coded it and everything,
Jake says. Oh sure, that's the plan. You laugh. What plan ever survives first contact with a planet? Marsti snorts. There's a wave of amusement mixed with despair that runs through the group. A kind of, ha ha, no, that applies to my life, oh shit, sort of thing. Further, somewhat depressing conversation is cut short as Aradia and Problem Sleuth show up.
Okay, everyone, we're going in these two vehicles. Truck 1 is leading, Truck 2 is following. Jake is driving Truck 1 with Dave and Problem Sleuth up front to navigate. Solix and Lonk are going in Truck 1 with them. Solix, shut up!
Aradia barely breaks her stride to cut off Solix's protest off and goes on right after.
In Truck 2, as Daja is driving with me up front, we can switch if need be. Cornel and Marsti are in the back with us. Any questions that aren't about the numbers of the trucks?
Who died and made you leader? Lonk asks flatly.
No one yet. Are you offering?
Aradia asks sweetly.
I was reasonably sure that I had the highest rank here, but this is sort of related to you three and your balance, so it's fine. The plan seems solid anyway. Shall we go?
Jake says. Let's roll. Aradia agrees brightly and hops in Truck 2. You ignore Lonk commenting on how Aradia saying that was kinda hot and the obvious protest that gets from Solix. Instead, you write to Problem Sleuth that your group is going in this truck and you're going to follow the navigation that they give to get going. As you drive, you establish a few things. Problem Sleuth is in fact a guy, and you also explain how everyone in your truck is too. There's sort of an issue about how true that is for Solix, but you're not going to bring that up now. The point is that if Problem Sleuth is trying to guess, you really don't want him guessing wrong with Lonk. You already know that Problem Sleuth's Kismesis is a guy from his earlier description, but you want to know a little more, which also necessitates a slow spelling and translation of names for everyone. Once he's cleared the names, Problem Sleuth starts to fill you in. Spade Slick is a man, which I said. He's not taller than me, and wearing his hat does not count. He's Durse. They all are. Problem Sleuth explains. That's how they describe the black-shelled Carapacians, isn't it? Durse instead of Prospit, right? After their moons? Jake checks with you.
That's what the briefing said. I'm interested in that, since the moons don't match those colors at all.
Lonk says from the back. I saw pictures. At the right time of night or day, one goes purplish and one's almost yellow. Jade said it was an atmospheric lensing thing and something to do with what they're made of. Solix agrees.
Slick is awful. He is stubborn, reckless, violent, and annoying. He's silly, too, and funny, and he cares about his
organization / group / crew / gang / fraternity / sorority. Problem Sleuth sighs. Yeah, that's pitch, but wow, that's a gnarly translation uncertainty there. You're going to assume that Sleuth is talking about the people he's expecting Spade Slick to be with when you find him. Then there's Dinan's Droog. He's about this much taller than me, so he's taller than Slick. He's his moirail. Wait, you don't know what that is, do you? Problem Sleuth asks.
No, I got that. We have that too. His moirail is also my matesprit, and he will be very mad that we got to talk to you about this and he didn't. He loves this stuff. You explain to Problem Sleuth and jerk your thumb at Solix so he knows who you mean. I'm telling Karkat about this now. Solix grins. He pauses and then types that out on his translator so Problem Sleuth can understand him too. And now I'm going to hear about that for hours. You type out and shake your head, making Problem Sleuth laugh. Droog is the smart one, but if Spade Slick won't go, then he won't leave him. He could help us talk him around. He goes on, and you make a mental note of that. Then there's Club's Deuce. He's smaller than me. He's nice, but not that smart. Problem Sleuth tells you, which probably means he's something of a non-entity in this mission. Lastly, there's Hart's boxcars. The guy is massive and very violent with his hands. Problem Sleuth mimes a punch, so you think that's what he means. Okay, watch out for Hart's boxcars, he might put up a fight. Got it. You nod. See, this is good to know. No, they are all fighting. They're a organization/group/crew/gang/fraternity/sorority. Spade Slick stabbed me before, but that is how he says hello sometimes. Problem Sleuth says, and looks alarmingly casual about it. Did anyone else hear the word gang in that list of things that word might be? Lonk asks from the back. Jake gives you a sidelong look. Yeah, you need to get a little more info about that. Could you tell me what organization/group/crew/gang/fraternity/sorority means? This just gives me several translations that mean different groups of people with a connection. How do they know each other, or why are they together? You ask carefully. All of them are unknown, Problem Sleuth tells you. It isn't telling me what that means. Can you describe it? You ask, hoping you can talk your way around this problem. It is really hard to describe something that everyone knows about without saying the words, Problem Sleuth says. It's frustrating, I know. We can solve this problem. You're trying to be encouraging here. It's the thing you aliens don't understand, but I will try. I am very good at solving problems. Actually, the translation ends and adds terminal punctuation because Problem Sleuth has stopped talking, but it looks to you like he's just had an idea. I am very good at solving problems. It's my job. It's my name. I investigate things for people, find clues, help people. It is what I am. But I can't show you a problem that I fix. It's not like farming, where I can show you food I made. It's a thing I have that I do, Problem Sleuth tells you. An ephemeral kind of vocation, Lonk observes. I don't think you should try to translate that, Solix says. I understand that. My matesprit's last job was to help people, to make things right between people and their superiors or their coworkers. He did something skilled, but he didn't make something he could show you. He's good at it, and that skill is part of who he is. You type into the translator. Aww, Jake coos, like you're just the most adorable thing. He should be watching the road and not reading, damn it! Problem Sleuth grins and points at Solix, making you look around just in time to see the sappy smile on Solix's face. What they do is like that. Everyone knows what they do, but it's not as if they make something. They keep people safe from bad things. Real things, but only they know it's not fake. Problem Sleuth tries to explain. Bad, real, not fake things? Things only they know are real? Solix says slowly. Am I reading into that, or does that sound like balancing? It could just be something spiritual, but if you ask me, Jake says slowly. Back on Earth in Alternia, it was all superstition and spiritual stuff. It's not unthinkable, you say back. See, you don't get it. We all know your species doesn't get it. Other people have tried to talk to other ships of your people, and you can't understand. Problem Sleuth says with a frustrated look. No, I think we do understand.
Can you tell me how they do this, and what would happen if they didn't do it?
You need to know the answer so badly. They do music to fix it, Problem Sleuth says, and then looks around as all of you react to that. Seemingly emboldened, they continue. Things get weird if it's not done. People see something weird or something goes wrong that people can't explain. Someone might see something that can't exist. They show up and make it right. If they didn't, it'd just be worse. They're balancers. Oh wow. Jake breathes.
How common is this? We have people like that too. I used to do that. He still does. You explain hastily and wave at Solix.
I don't know. There's the 4 of them for Midnight City and the area around it, but I think most cities our size probably have the same. Problem Sleuth shrugs.
That's a way higher amount of the population than us. No wonder everything here is steady as fuck. You say in awe.
Does everyone know they can do this?
Solix types out hastily.
Yes. People know about them, and everyone knows who they are. Maybe someone wouldn't recognize them on the street right away, but most people would. Them being a organization / group / crew / gang / fraternity / sorority is probably part of that, though. Oh shit. We don't need to worry about other ships getting the virus from us or finding out about the balance. As soon as they can translate what the Carapacians can say properly, then they're going to know. It's not a secret for them. Solix says and laughs in disbelief. God fucking damn it. You need to tell Polypa and...
Stop the truck. You tell Jake, who immediately does so. Well, he slows down properly. He doesn't just slam the brakes on.
Problem Sleuth looks confused and peers out of the window. You're not at the bit of the city that he directed you to yet.
Stay here for a moment, you tell him.
Out of the truck, you say, and everyone but Problem Sleuth gets out. Aradia comes to a stop behind you, and everyone gets out of there, too. You motion them over and then point at your radio and make a cut / turn off gesture and click the switch on yours to ensure that yours is off. There's a few moments as everyone checks themselves, and then Aradia speaks. Okay, we're silent. Why? She asks.
The Carapacians have balancers, and they're not a secret. Problem Sleuth just said that the Carapacians have tried explaining it before, but no one's got it. Probably a mix of talking to someone who isn't awake yet, and no one else's translation tech being as good as ours. So, people are going to find out. There's no way this can be secret now. You tell the others. If the other ships got a heads up about this, then maybe they could try to explain to them that it's top secret, but even then, Marcy says slowly. They'd try if they got the heads up, for sure, and if we found out about that, we'd have to tell Polypa and Nepeta, and then the ship would have to make a call about telling the others. You say.
There's no real if about it. Your translators have a history, don't they? Lanka reasons. There'd be real trouble if we knew about this and didn't say, or if they could prove that we knew about it.
Jake agrees.
Oh no, this is Hal's programming. He always leaves sneaky, stupid pathways to get into the back end of things that he makes. I could get into them and erase it if you want. Even if I couldn't find the way in by myself, I can message him and ask for a hint if I trade some of the favors that he owes me. Trade back some of those IOUs he gave me, Solix says.
Does it back itself up?
Lonk asks. Every 12 hours to take in all of the new data and modify the translation. Then a patch goes out on the next 12-hour backup as it pulls data in for the next one. We have 5 hours until then. It might not even do it until we get back to the base. It depends on how Hal programmed it to react to being off-site. I don't remember it suddenly dumping data when we got back last time, so I'm going to say that it's every 12 hours. It's a safer assumption. Solix answers him.
We could just say that we didn't know. Let it all happen. The odds are that with a whole new species knowing, then there's no way they could keep it hidden. It'll be referenced in so much of their stuff. You say quietly.
Damara always said that everyone knew. This would make more sense.
Aradia nods. Nothing happened to our ship because of it, or nothing that we can prove. If it's already a done deal, then we can simply stay out of it. Azaja agrees.
We have to all agree to that, to change the translator log, to all deny that this conversation happened. If we're not all on board, it won't work. I'm willing to do this, but we have to all be, so are we?
Jake says sensibly. I'm in, Lonk says simply.
It'd be easier this way. I'm in.
Marshty agrees.
If Solix is confident that he can make that translator clean, then I am too.
As Daja agrees.
If Daja is in, I'm in. It's happening anyway. We're staying out of anything that could make it complicated.
Kunil nods.
Wait 2 seconds. You two got on my ass about not even telling someone everything, but this is okay?
Solix demands, though he smartly swerves around dropping Latula's name there.
There's only so many people that can know a secret before it's bound to come out. We were already at the limit, and it only stayed there because the threat of court-martial and imprisonment was so real. This is a whole species who doesn't see that it's dangerous. You start.
A whole species who knew all about this and never got into any danger because of it, in fact. How is anyone going to convince them that talking about this is dangerous? Especially if they aren't translating that order very well.
Aradia interrupts.
Right. People are going to find out now. There's no stopping that. If anything, letting the people in command know that the Carapacians are in on this is only going to cause panic and fear. Exactly the kind of thing the Void wants. And if it means that no one else has to grow up doing this in secret again, then... You shrug, like this whole thing is out of your hands. There's just nothing you could possibly do. Tragic.
If there's more of them, it might be more of a choice, too. If we pick these 4 up, then that's 8 people that can balance on our ship. That's way less demanding.
Aradia says reasonably.
Far fewer late nights, weird wake-up calls to listen into someone else's check. That's more of a chance for a life for everyone. I'll do it. You're going to need to explain to Problem Sleuth that this conversation didn't happen and do it before I wipe your translator.
Solix warns you.
Alright, then we're all agreed?
You check, and everyone nods. There's some kind of horrible irony that your family, Karkat, and Kanaya could have just kept their mouths shut for a bit and everything would have come out anyway. Maybe you would have felt a little bit better about it coming out this way. Your whole history wouldn't have been plastered everywhere, and every balancer would be going through the same thing. Still, your family and friends are who they are. It was always going to happen that way once they found shit out. You might be naturally inclined to it as someone who's past aligned, but wondering about all of the what-ifs and alternate ways things could have been doesn't really do you any favors in the present. That's what Cotard keeps reminding you anyway. You all get back in your cars, and you explain things briefly to Problem Sleuth as Solix tries to work out how to unwind the history of your translator device. He figures it out, or he figures most of it out, and has to cave and trade some of his weird IOU favor coupons back to Hal in order to get him to surreptitiously give him the way in. Right around the same time, Problem Sleuth confirms that the word that your translator kept spitting out as organization/group/crew/gang/fraternity/sorority does mean gang, at least in this case.
You mean they're a criminal gang?
You type hurriedly, secure in the knowledge that this will all be erased. Yes, but they never get locked away. Not for long. They need to do the other thing, Problem Sleuth says casually.
Maybe don't tell people that, you suggest.
Why? I'm not leaving without him, and Reader isn't going without me because Hysterical Dame won't go without me either.
Problem Sleuth smiles cannily. The fucker's got your deal all figured out.
Yeah, but it's better if we find that out for the first time when it is too late to do anything because you're all already on the ship.
You type out.
Okay, gimme that. No more secret conversations. We need you to take directions and have that recorded on here so it doesn't look like you're missing a whole chunk of time, Solix says, reaching over and taking your translator away from you.
I can't believe that you'd say I don't take directions well. This is slander, you protest.
Direction, huh? I'll tell you where to go,
Solix counters.
Get a room, or at least come back here where I can watch Dave, Lonk calls up with a laugh.
Jake is shaking his head, and Problem Sleuth looks amused. He might not know what you're saying, but now that he knows that you and Solix are partners in the same kind of hue as him and Spade Slick, well, he's picking up on your interactions and the tone of them. It takes Solix maybe 10 minutes to finish the job, now that Hal's given him the keys and a subtle kind of message over Trollian. Admittedly, a few of those minutes are arguing with you about you saying that Hal just gave Solix the answer because Solix is defensive about his skills and you are chronically unable to not tease him. The thing is, he knows that you know he's the best. That's why acting otherwise is so funny. Luckily for the rest of you, Problem Sleuth is capable of giving directions without your translator by simply pointing in the right direction. Night is starting to fall when you get into the area of the city that Problem Sleuth has directed you to. Jake advises that you all sit down, eat, and have a little break before you start sweeping the city for Spade Slick and his definitely criminal gang.
I vote that Solix doesn't say anything this time, Jake suggests as you all start to eat.
Rude, Solix mutters, but absolutely no one wants Solix jinxing everything again. You talk to Problem Sleuth as you eat instead. You don't have to stop chewing to do it, which is great.
So, where do you think he will be? You ask.
I want to check their hiding place first, Problem Sleuth tells you.
Do you know where it is, if it's a hiding place? Or are we looking for that first?
You wonder, trying to work out how long this is going to take. I know where it is. It's not hard to find. Most people who would look for him can find it. He isn't subtle. Problem Sleuth shakes his head despairingly as the translator spits that out. This almost seems like they're from kids' cartoons. Do you think they have a base in a volcano? Jake says with a grin. There's no volcanoes near here, and that would never work. Thermodynamics makes everyone its bitch. Aradia says, in the sad tones of someone who would also like a volcano secret lair if physics wasn't so mean about it.
Okay, where are we heading?
You ask, when everyone is all fed and watered and everything. Problem Sleuth doesn't say anything, just points a finger at an ominous, Gothic-looking building which is made out of intricately carved black stone. Most of the windows are boarded up, and it's clearly old and in disrepair, but subtle it absolutely isn't. That's the hiding place. The prison is just across the river. Problem Sleuth points a little to the side, and yeah, you can see a defensible-looking building across the other side of a not very wide or deep river. $5 says there's a tunnel under it, Jake snorts. They have a series of paths they carved out under the river to get in and out. The prison was emptied when the ships started coming here. Nothing anyone did was worth keeping people in to die, Problem Sleuth says. That's very humanitarian of them, but now that you think that, you don't know if Earth did that. Until now, you had never thought about it. I win, Jake grins.
I didn't bet against you, you point out.
The doors to the hideout look barred shut. We can just open them, Aradia suggests, and gestures innocently, as her hand glows a little with the rusty light of her psionics. People usually get mad when you break their stuff with psionics, Solix says flatly.
Can confirm, Asdaja agrees. We can get in by force. They can open anything. Is there a better way, or would that make him really angry and less interested in coming with us?
You ask, in a more diplomatic way. I have a key. Follow me, Problem Sleuth says, leading you towards the building.
Right, he's your Kismesis. Of course he gave you a key.
As you say this, Problem Sleuth pauses, just around the side of the grand entrance to the building. If he didn't want me to have it, then he should have hid it better. He basically gave it to me, Problem Sleuth says, and then quietly opens the door while avoiding eye contact with any of you. That's fine by you. You're busy not looking at Solix, or anyone in your group who is looking at you and Solix too. A hidden door pops open, and Problem Sleuth leads you all inside. You find yourself in a dark and banged-up hallway of this grand building. This clearly isn't the main part, but even so, it's littered with hints of opulence. Expensive-looking and intricate rugs are strewn across the floor, and fancy alien sculptures and art are nailed to the wall. To be clear, none of this is done with what passes for decor or skill. Even in alien culture, you're pretty sure that these things shouldn't be hung up unevenly with nails like that, especially when there's dents in the wall around it, with several nails hammered right into the wall, as if whoever tried to hang the art up wasn't very delicate with a hammer.
What is this place?
You ask as you follow Problem Sleuth further into the building. You eye a bunch of bullet holes in the wall and see the other sailors do the same, especially as you pass a stash of carapacian weaponry scattered haphazardly against a wall. There's furniture dotted here and there, but it's clear that none of it belongs here. This building had a purpose, and Slick and his gang have repurposed it for their own ends. It's the hiding place, Problem Sleuth explains, and runs his hand over a wall. He backtracks, then pushes a painting aside and flicks a switch under it. There's a distant explosion, and Problem Sleuth's eyes widen. He flicks the other switch, and a door nearby swings open.
I hope that wasn't important, Marsty says quietly. I meant, what was this building used for before it was a hiding place?
You clarify. It used to be used for music. Expensive performances of music, Problem Sleuth says, and steps through the doorway. He gestures to a small window in the wall, through which you can see a grand concert hall with a great arcing dome ceiling that's got acoustic panels hanging from it in a way that'd make the sound inside so choice and juicy. What more could a group of balancers want, if not a sick place to perform? They will be down there? Aradia asks as she moves past you to look through the window. Yes, but unfortunately the way is blocked by a devious line of traps. This door is blocked by this impossibly heavy stone statue, but there is a way to solve the puzzle, Problem Sleuth says, and waves a skinny limb at a giant white marble statue that's pressed up against the door that looks like it would lead down into the concert hall.
How did anyone get that through the door?
You wonder, as you look at the narrow door you came through, and the other equally narrow one that leads down to the concert hall, both too narrow to get a sculpture like that through. They must have taken down a wall and rebuilt it, but why? Solix says, and peers at the walls to try to work out which one is newer. There is an intricate series of problems, but thankfully I brought my instrument to... Problem Sleuth stops talking, and right after there's a weighty thud. When you look around, you see Problem Sleuth looking utterly crestfallen. The statue is in the middle of the room now, and Aradia is by the now unobstructed door. The door is open now, Aradia types out quickly and opens the door to demonstrate.
I think you ruined the puzzle, Aradia,
Astasha says despairingly. Did Spade Slick set this up so you had to solve something to get in and win? Solix asks, his fingers flying over his translator. Problem Sleuth nods sadly. We don't have time to worry about pitch blocking these guys. Let's just go. Aradia groans and heads through the now open doorway and down the stairs into the open concert hall.
I'd have been really sad if someone just told me about what you did to my keyboard instead of letting me find out on my own, you say quietly to Solix as you hang back to walk at the back of the group as you descend into the concert hall.
They can throw spades at each other when they're both alive and on the ship, Solix says casually, but all the same, his hand brushes against yours, and for a brief moment, his fingers slide between yours and he squeezes your hand. The concert hall is grander than you could imagine. There are rows upon rows of now dusty seats, plush black fabric lining each one. They come in a whole range of sizes, too. The standard seems to be quite large, but there's a good handful of clearly far bulkier seats to accommodate some of the gargantuan carapacians that you've seen around. It's clear that the place is still well used. The aisles are walked through enough that there's no dust there, and as well a few chairs that are scattered about seem like someone sat in them recently. Your whole group is hushed in silent wonder at the magnitude of the place, and the opulent grandeur of it all, too. Looking up at the ceiling and the walls, you can see painted friezes of carapacian design, things that look like it could be relating to their mythology or history. You'll have to save all of these video files, and you try to carefully get a good look around at everything so it can be studied later. A sudden garbled yell by your ear makes you and Solix nearly jump out of your skins in fright. Solix actually ends up hanging half a foot in the air. You glare at Psionic, hovering there and laughing at you. Clearly he decided to show up and either spooked you on purpose or did it by accident but still found it funny. Not funny. He's just as bad as Matuna. Aradia hisses at him. Don't do that, Solix adds.
Were you trying to scare us?
You ask, and at least Psionic shakes his head at that. So you have them too, people that aren't here? You can see them, but we can't, the translator says, moments after Problem Sleuth has spoken. We're trying to find the alien's Kismesis and his gang. If you want to be helpful, you could look around as well, Solix tells Psionic. If you're done scaring the piss out of everyone, can we go? Lonk whispers at you waspishly.
I don't know why you're whispering. I'm pretty sure any element of surprise that we had is gone, dude.
You say reasonably. You're actually impressed that this room doesn't echo the sound around like crazy. It's really nicely balanced acoustically. Then again, it would be, right? For balancers. You're incredibly funny and unappreciated in your time. You're not even going to try to make that joke here. Probably because the only one who would appreciate it is Jake, because he's a man of taste. He did marry your brother, though, but no one's perfect. Wait.
Too busy on a mission to explain, but... Haha, burn! What? Are you insulting me on a whole new planet?
Excellent. Your group is about up to the stage now. The stage is obviously empty, but there's going to be more rooms back there for sure. It seems that's where you're all headed. You have to say that as you climb up onto the stage, your mind ends up drawing you unpleasantly back to that one nightmare that you had. So many dead versions of yourself on the stage. So many fronts, lies, covers, and everything between you and everyone else. Standing on a dark stage again makes you feel... What is it? Solix whispers, coming to your side and looking around as if you spotted something that he hasn't. You're you. You're getting better. You've lost a lot, but you're still here. Things are better. They're honest and real. It's okay. Nothing. Come on, you tell Solix, and move to catch up with everyone else. As you head backstage, Psionic returns. He gives a vague shrug, which you can only assume means he didn't find anything or anyone here. Sure enough, as you get backstage, you find plenty of stuff. Tables, chairs, the mess of people living in a space together. There just aren't any people. There has to be some clue here if he's not here. Where did he go? Problem Sleuth says through Aradia's translator. There's a lot of knives here. I'm not sure what a normal amount of knives in a room is, but this isn't it, Jake says, looking around the backstage area.
Oh, Problem Sleuth,
as Daja calls out. You look around and see that Daja is pointing at a clock, or something that you think is probably a clock. There's a slip of paper pinned to it with a knife. Problem Sleuth gasps and rushes to it, snatching it from the knife and reading. He's saying if I found this, to go to the ship without him. He needs to fight the thing in the sky that's coming for us. He's so stupid, Problem Sleuth says, obviously angry.
Where would he go to do that, since he's not here?
You ask. I don't know. I need to think. Problem Sleuth starts to pace, so you go back to looking around the backstage area. You find a bunch of alien instruments, but you resist touching them. You don't want people getting grabby with your violin, so you're not going to do the same to someone else's instrument. The stuff in Tortuga is different, because that is everyone's. Further in the backstage area is a dressing room that's been used to store a whole bunch of pretty classy black suits, shirts, shoes, and a crazy number of hats. There's also what looks like a bunch of different food back here, although on inspection it's 4 very distinct food shapes. You're probably seeing what you're used to, but some look like red lips and some look like little dog shapes. Weird, alien, and super cool. When you return from scoping everything out, though you're not the only sailor poking about out of curiosity, you gravitate back towards Solix. He's sitting in a big armchair with a scowl on his face.
What's with you?
You ask him and perch on the arm of the chair. Nothing, Solix says.
What's the face for, then? Doesn't look like it's nothing,
you say, and gently prod the space between his scowling eyebrows. This is frustrating. I'm getting a stress headache is all. Or maybe I'm dehydrated. Solix admits. You unclip your water flask and slide it out of the pocket on your bag. You unlock the drinking valve and hand it to Solix. Thanks, Solix says softly and has a drink. He does look like he needed it. Problem Sleuth thinks that he knows where Spade Slick might be, but the translator isn't getting it. I say we just go, Aradia says as she walks up to the pair of you.
Makes sense. He knows the city best. Did he tell you how far it is? You check.
An hour or two. Maybe more if the roads are blocked, but he said it's out the other side of the city. She explains. Let's get to the trucks, call it in to update our position, and go. Given the time, I think we should switch drivers so we can be fresher for the way back. Jake agrees.
My eyes are better than yours at night. I can drive and you can nap. You offer.
I'll drive for Daja then, Connell adds. All right, let's go, Jake says, and with that, you all move out. Trekking back through the concert hall and the rest of the building is just as cool as before, and you really do wish you had more time to take it all in and even to explore the weird puzzles that Problem Sleuth mentioned before. Alas, time is not on your side. When you get back into the trucks, Jake lays out in the middle bench seat that Solix had sat on before, and Solix takes the back bench seat. From the way he throws his arms over his eyes right away, you think that headache hasn't gone yet.
Solix, do you need to take your medication for your migraines? It could be the atmosphere or something here doesn't agree with you.
You suggest, turning the truck's engine back on. Aradia said she'd call your change of location in, so you're going to wait for her word before you start driving. You have Problem Sleuth in the front with you, along with Lank. It's not a migraine. I don't know if they'd do anything for a headache.
Solix grumbles from back there.
That doesn't sound right, but you don't know enough about pain medication to be sure. You don't usually take anything for pain. You just deal with it. You always... What's that face for? You look like you just worked out who's been stealing your underwear or solved the mystery that you've had someone switch you to decaf coffee without you knowing, Lank says.
No, I figured something out about myself, that's all. Fucking parents screwing everything up.
You mutter. Unless you've just had serious surgery, you don't really take pain medication because it's not something you do. You're not avoidant of it. You've complained of a headache or a sprain before and had people offer you painkillers, and you take them in that situation. You just don't really seek them out yourself much at all. You keep your hive stocked with that kind of thing for other people, but it's rare that you take care of yourself like that. If you're in pain, then that's just how it is. Walk it off, sailor. Don't whine about it. Mom and Bro always hated you acting like you were in pain. No, showing that you were in pain. They'd say you were acting hurt, as if you were making it up. Megalodon to Laika, ready when you are, Aradia says over the radio.
Laika here. Follow me, you say back.
Lank types one-handed and gives you a concerned look. He's not the touchy-feely type when it comes to real feelings, but he does still care about you. The translator asks Problem Sleuth where to go, and you can follow the direction that he's pointing easily enough. It's well into the night now, and the city is nearly deserted. You pass people heading back towards your ship, or people hurrying about who are obviously getting their things together. Sometimes you drive past Carapacians waiting on the street. They look up as you drive towards them, and then look disappointed. Clearly they're waiting for someone to meet them so they can leave. Lank and Problem Sleuth talk as you drive, giving you a little bit more background. Most people are getting away safely, but it's hard to really conceptualize the grand horror of having to pack up all of your things and get ready to leave your whole planet behind. Not even that. The ship doesn't have room for everyone to bring Great Grammy's antique silverware and crockery. Bring a bag or two, that's it. A whole history, a whole planet, just going away like that. You scan the dark roads with your superior vision and wonder just how many more sunrises and sunsets they're going to get. Over there is one of the moons. You're not sure which because it's not showing any color right now, though maybe if you... Wait a second. You slow the truck to a stop and open your door. Hanging out of it, you look up at the sky and let your eyes focus out as far as you can and through every spectrum that you can see in.
Since when is there another ship right there? Right near the moon, you say, pointing at it.
I thought La Autoridad was the closest ship, and it's nowhere near here. How can you even see that far? Let me get my binoculars.
Lonk grumbles. He leans out of his window and peers up at the sky as well. Lonk makes an uncertain noise and then hands them to you. They don't work as well with your eyes, but they do give you more of a boost than you already have alone. There's definitely a ship up there. You get back inside and call base, looping Aradia into the call as you do.
Base, this is Laika. What's the other ship in our airspace? I didn't think there was anyone else this close.
Laika, you said another ship? Please repeat. Someone at base says back.
I repeat, another ship. The same kind of ship as the Atuan, not a shuttle. You say.
This is Megalodon. I can see something up there as well. It looks like another ship.
Aradia agrees.
Stand by,
is all that you get back.
We are cut off for now, so maybe they didn't communicate?
Locke suggests, but even he sounds uncertain and uneasy about that idea.
Are they not with you?
Problem Sleuth asks. Lonk types out some kind of answer to that, but you're too busy staring up at the ship instead of the screen. Jake sits up behind you. His voice is deep and rumbly with sleep as he talks to Lonk and gets caught up.
Laika, Megalodon, this is base. We've just checked with Control. It's the Empress's ship. They've exchanged all of the standard authentication codes, but we're blocked from all other communication. Apparently, Control was supposed to tell us, but the message never got relayed.
Base says, in the bitter tone of someone that's very pissed that they were left out of the loop.
Copy that, Base. Over.
You say, and lean on the steering wheel for a moment.
I thought they were at the front of the fleet.
Aradia's voice comes through your radio, just truck-to-truck transmission.
Yeah, I did too. Maybe she came back, though? Even the new Empress herself is picking up carapations, so you too should do it? You suggest.
Fef was always pretty soft with that stuff, so maybe.
I'll shoot her a message, Aradia says.
We're blocked, remember?
You remind her, and start the truck's engine up again, putting it into gear once more. Do you really think that Feferi abides by the same rules if she doesn't want to? I'm sure her friends are all unblocked regardless. Aradia laughs. You have the competing thoughts of how Aradia really shouldn't admit to going against orders over the radio, but then who are they gonna report her to? The very Empress that Aradia is saying is breaking those rules? Yeah, that's kind of a no-win situation. Problem Sleuth directs you further. You're out of the city now and driving towards a very tall hill with a building on it. It looks like it could be an observatory. If you were the kind of person who was so inclined to fight the sky, then that'd be a sensible place to do it. You can see Problem Sleuth's logic. The hair on the back of your neck starts to stand on end. Your skin tingles slightly, and for a second you can't place the sensation. You hear a stressed whine from the back of the truck, and the windshield tints ever so slightly red-blue against the night outside. "Solix!" you shout. What you can feel is that static-filled texture to the air that comes right around the time when two psionics are about to get into a light show-filled smackdown. Jake jerks awake and instantly hauls himself to the front of the truck with several languages worth of cursing, just in time to avoid the sudden Tesla coil discharge sound and resulting explosion. You control the truck as best as you can, managing to keep it on two wheels instead of flipping right the way over onto one side. Gravity reclaims control, and the truck drops back down to all four wheels with a slam. "Fuck me!" Lonk shouts in alarm. "Oh God!" Jake tries to right himself and inadvertently kicks the horn, making everyone jump again. "Fuck! Laika! What the hell was that?" Aradia calls over the radio. Twisting in your seat, you see Solix curled up on the back bench, his hands clutching his head. "It's Duelist!" You gasp and scramble out of the truck. Solix must have fallen asleep and had one of those fucking dreams again! You'd go to open the back door to get to Solix, but they can't be any more open because there's no more door. You rush inside anyway and feel the front of Solix's jacket. You know where he put his migraine medication because you made him show you in Karkat. You also told Aradia and Marcy about it, so they'd know too. Solix is trembling from pain. His breathing is ragged and awful. Whatever is making him dream back in time is getting worse. It takes effort to get him to take his medication, and worse still is the fact that his nose is now bleeding. The stress of it must have caused it, because it doesn't look like anything hit him. Another dream? Aradia whispers from the open doorway of the truck. You nod and mouth, "It's worse," at her. Aradia disappears for a moment and returns with Marcy, who moves in to take your place. You give her space to work and get out of the truck. It's worse than it was before. He's going to have to go back. He won't be able to handle anything, and if it happens again, then think of the damage he could do. You whisper. It's happened in close proximity to a previous one before, right? Even if it's not been on the same day. Well, even then, this didn't happen before, Aradia says, looking at the damaged side of the truck. The whole door is missing, and all of the glass from the back panel has been blown out. You didn't even notice that before. Wow, Jake says softly. He's pointing behind you, and when you turn, you can see the mangled truck door lodged in a tree. The damn thing has split the wood in half near the top. There's no way you're getting that down from there in any state to stick it back on the truck, Lonk observes, hanging through the driver's side window next to you. I can see that. You sigh. You were driving. You get the paperwork, Lonk adds. Fuck off, Lonk. You groan. It's so much paperwork. You really don't want to have to do paperwork like that. Maybe no one will notice that the truck you left with has a different number of doors than it did before. Maybe you get away with it. Marcy steps outside of the truck with a grim look on her face. He's basically non-responsive and clearly still in a lot of pain. I'd feel better taking him back to the Otuan so he could get a scan. I'm not a think sponge, Doc Terrorist, so I'd prefer that someone who was had a look and made sure that he's not bleeding in there. He probably isn't, but, well, I don't want that on my hands, Marcy says. So, what now then? Aradia sighs. Well, Problem Sleuth hasn't given us any reason to think that his Kismesis and his gang are hostile to us in particular. It seems like it makes sense to have some of us take Solix back to the base and some of us stay here to retrieve the gang, Jake suggests. Okay, well, the planet is already stable, and Aradia can't balance without Solix anyway. Besides, if we're meeting up with Spade Slick and his group, then they can balance any local void fuckery we might run into, so we're good. So, if Aradia and Asdaja drive, then we've got 2 psionics to catch anything that Solix might throw, and Marcy can keep watch on him medically. You reason, trying to balance out what's best for Solix against what's best for the rest of you who are going into the observatory. You, me, Lonk, and Cornel, then? That's balanced enough to handle this gang, I think, Jake reasons. What he means is that in the case that things do kick off with Spade Slick's gang, Jake is a heavy sailor for a reason. Cornel has a right hook that's enough to drop basically anyone in one hit, whereas you and Lonk are sneaky and strategic motherfuckers. You can't beat Gamzee in a straight-up brawl, though you can give him a good run for his money sometimes, and win on occasion. But in a training session where you're trying to hunt each other down and take the other one out, then you can handle him. The 4 of you will be just fine, and with Problem Sleuth handling the talking, it likely won't even come up. I don't like it, but it sounds like the best option that we have. I'll call it in. Move up, Lonk, Aradia says grimly, and heads to the front of your truck. We should move him to the other truck so you can check that this one is fully safe and roadworthy. If it's not, then this whole plan is pointless, Marcy advises. He doesn't want to be nearby when that's happening. It's too loud. I'll get him, you say. Marcy could absolutely carry Solix on her own, but he's your partner, not hers. You want to help, and right now this is about all the help that you can give him. After carefully unbuckling Solix, you slip your arms under him and pick him up. Solix whimpers in pain as you turn and climb out of the truck. Poor guy. This sucks so much, and he doesn't deserve it. You're gonna be okay, Sol, you whisper as you walk carefully and smoothly to the second truck, not wanting to jostle him at all. The meds are gonna kick in fully soon. You'll be okay. They're gonna take you back to base in the dark, so you won't have to worry about the light, you say softly as you walk. When you reach the second truck, Astasha psionically pops the door open and swings it wide so that you can get in. Everyone's cleared out now, and is now clustered around Aradia and Jake as they work out what's going to happen and check that the vehicles are fine. Luckily for you, Astasha doesn't need to be close by to open a door for you. You slide Solix onto the bench seat and buckle the safety belts around him. Thankfully, there are ones specifically meant to be used for when you have a prone person on the back like this. No one wants to have a crash and fling their injured squad mate through the windshield. Solix's forehead is damp with sweat, and his hair is sticking to his skin. He looks like he feels absolutely awful. You remember Somnos, and so you carefully work your fingers into his hair and put pressure on his scalp, pressing around his soft hornbeds. It's enough to make Solix's eyes flutter open slightly. You think he actually sees you now, even if he can't push through the pain to do anything about it. You're gonna be fine, man. When you get back, Carcat'll probably be there, or he'll be there before you know it. He'll look after you. I'll be right after you as soon as we've got these guys, okay? You whisper to him quietly. Solix makes an anguished kind of noise. Even if it's quiet, so he doesn't make his headache worse, it still breaks your heart. You'll be okay. I love you. I hate you. You breathe as you kiss his forehead. You kiss him a second time, because you know he'd appreciate that, and then you get out of the truck. The sooner you can get this job done, the sooner you can see Solix again.
Are we good to go?
You ask the group as soon as you get back to your truck. It seems to run just fine. I'm going to build this as the lighter sport model. Excellent ventilation, better fuel efficiency due to lower weight, Jake says with a grin and finger guns in your direction. You debate haranguing your brother about his taste in men, but he probably can't get away with sending personal messages to Dirk twice in one mission, especially when that mission has already gone in the direction of property damage. You're still gonna think it really loudly. We'll get into truck 2. We'll wait 10 minutes for Solix's painkillers to kick in some more and to be close by in case this truck does die on you. After that, we'll radio you and head back to the base, Aradia says. I don't think you need to do that. Better to get him back sooner, Conil says, and you nod in agreement. All right, we'll go now then, Aradia says. The two groups split. Jake, Lonk, and Problem Sleuth stay in the front, and you and Conil sit in the now breezier back part of the truck. Conil's not a big chatterbox anyway, and she can read the room enough to know that you just want to get this done now. You don't want to wait around any more than you have to. Lonk types out a brief explanation that Solix gets unwell sometimes, and things like that happened. But he keeps the details light and casually deflects any of Problem Sleuth's questions that get too personal. It's easy to assume that because Lonk is kind of a dick, that he doesn't have people skills. On the contrary, Lonk is very skilled with people and incredibly socially slick. He just chooses to be the way he is. You've always liked him more when he's being a prick, when you compare it to him being socially polished and calculated. It's more honest. It takes almost an hour to get to the observatory, given that you can't drive to the top. Scrambling about in the dark isn't that easy, and neither Problem Sleuth nor Jake have fantastic night vision. Trolls generally have good night vision, and your eyes are great, but it still slows you all down. As you approach the top, you freeze. You can hear distant carapacian voices, but they're not close or clear enough for the translator to parse. You motion for everyone else to approach slowly, but your stealthy entrance is foiled when a black carapacian face peeks over the edge. You suppose you should use their own terms, right? A small Dursite carapacian peeks over at you. He's a little guy by the looks of things, and your mind supplies you with an answer from Problem Sleuth's earlier exposition. It's Club's Deuce. He looks a little annoyed to see you until he spots Problem Sleuth, and then he waves cheerfully at you. You shrug and decide to climb the rest of the way up the steep steps normally. Hi, Sleuth! What are you doing here, and why do you have aliens? Club's Deuce asks when you get to the top. I'm here to see Slick, Problem Sleuth says. Is that him? You type out as you eye the scene unfolding before you. On the top of the very steep hill is the observatory. Its large glass dome shines in the dual moonlight. Hanging out of one of the windows is an angry-looking Dursite carapacian wearing a full-body robe and a sash with writing on. Writing that you can't read, obviously. On the ground below are two other Dursite carapacians, who are both reasonably thin, both dressed in sharp suits. The taller of the two, likely Diamond's Droog, is holding a very nasty-looking gun with an air of complete boredom as the shorter one angrily waves a knife at the man in the observatory. Off to the side is a final Dursite carapacian who is of the body type massive heavy square and makes you glad that your truck is down a door, that way it won't have to carry quite as much weight. He must be Hart's boxcars, and he looks at you with the air of someone fully willing to be a problem for you, but also disinterested and lazy enough to not want to go out of his way to make problems.
He's kinda busy,
Clubstew says.
I'm not letting you in!
The man in the observatory yells down. Let me in, or I'm going to stab you, Spade Slick argues.
Why would I let you in if you were going to stab me?
The man in the observatory argues, quite sensibly. How long has this been going on? Problem Sleuth asks.
About an hour,
Clubstew answers. Why is he so stupid? Problem Sleuth groans. I'm offering again to shoot him, Diamond's Droog says after Spade Slick flings a knife at the man in the observatory. The man hastily closes the window to deflect the knife, only to open it and continue yelling at Spade Slick. Don't you dare! I'm going to get through that window! Spade Slick insists, pulling another knife out of his suit. Diamond's Droog groans in despair and shakes his head, and in doing so ends up looking far enough around to catch sight of your group. His eyes lock on Problem Sleuth, and he heads over to you. His walk is casual, but his gun is still very much there, so the rest of you are already armed and waiting just in case. Finally, maybe you can talk some sense into him, because he won't listen to me, Diamond's Droog says, and you see him clock that the translator is doing his job.
The sense never stays in him. He won't listen to your...
Unclear.
At all?
Problem Sleuth asks, but you're going to guess that's some quadrant term, like shushing for trolls. Why do you have aliens with you? Diamond's Droog asks. Don't worry about it, Problem Sleuth says. He looks around at the ground and then finds a small rock. He picks it up and weighs it in his hand. A rock? You have a gun, I know you do, Diamond's Droog says, which is news to you! I'm not wasting a bullet, Problem Sleuth says, and whips the rock at Spade Slick, knocking his hat clean off his head. Spade Slick whirls around in obvious fury, but his face flicks into surprise, or angry surprise, at least, when he sees Problem Sleuth. The unknown, probably expletive, are you doing here? You're supposed to be on a ship! Spade Slick shouts.
Yes, with you!
Problem Sleuth argues. I'm not leaving! I can fight this, I just need to get in there! Spade Slick says, waving an angry hand at the observatory.
No! You should go and take them with you!
The man in the observatory adds, only to have to dodge yet another thrown knife. There's no reason that trying the same thing we've tried before but higher up will work. If you really thought it would, then you wouldn't want Problem Sleuth to go, Diamond's Droog points out reasonably. He's got a kid now, not taking risks, Spade Slick says, hunching his shoulders defensively.
Then go with me,
Problem Sleuth tells him. No, it's your kid. Look after them. Why do you have aliens with you anyway? Spade Slick asks, eyeing you all suspiciously.
They agreed to help me find you and bring you back so we can leave,
Problem Sleuth explains.
Do you do that for everyone? Wow,
Clubstew says. Haven't seen them doing that before, Hart's boxcars rumbles. Neither have I, Diamond's Droog says, and looks at you suspiciously. Problem Sleuth clearly hadn't considered why you're invested in getting them to go to the ship. They're aware that you're balancers, but they don't know everything that you know. You need to fix this before these very armed men become more inclined to shoot first and ask questions later. You remember what we talked about before? You try to make this vague, and then reconsider.
Hey, turn off your translators. I'll turn off the signal on mine and then break or ditch it and say that Solix broke it when he blew the doors off. You say to the others.
The other three flick their translators off, and you decide to be more explicit.
You four can do something that I used to do, and two of the people I was with earlier can do. You sing to the dark, and you have dead people or people who aren't alive yet with you to do it. You say, as clearly as you can, well aware that you don't yet have the word for balancer pinned down yet, so you can't get the translator to use it. The Carapacians all look surprised, and you really hope it's because they didn't expect you to know about the void and not that you just insulted all their mothers or something. You get your answer when Spade Slick waves a hand and a taller Dursite Carapacian ghost appears at his side, though she, you think it's a she, doesn't look happy to be there. Another ghost of the same build appears by Diamond's Droog, but this one is Prospect White and dressed in a very fancy way. Not that the first one isn't fancy, with her long black coat and wide hat. A robed Prospect ghost of about the same kind of height, maybe a little smaller, pops into place by Hart's boxcars, and then lastly, a smaller Dursite ghost appears at Club's Deuce's side. This ghost seems to be inexplicably wrapped in yellow tape for reasons that elude you. The point is that you can see them. You reacted when no one else around you did. I thought you aliens were useless with this stuff, Spade says in surprise. It's really rare for us, and it's supposed to be a secret. Not that it will be after this. I'm telling you that you can't fight this thing. We've been trying. You tell him.
Hart's boxcars is talking to the ghosts, but he's keeping his voice low enough that your translator isn't getting it, but that's fine. No, you wanted to come with me before you knew about this. Before you knew they were like you. Why do you care so much? I don't know why I didn't ask before now. Stupid!
Problem Sleuth demands, pointing at you.
You catch the grudging admiration on Spade Slick's face as his Kismesis grills you about your suspicious behavior.
Do you sometimes get people like them who aren't alive yet? People come in pairs. They're dead and helping you, and then you're dead and helping them. You ask, really hoping that the answer is yes. It's gonna be a bitch to explain otherwise. That's how we are. She was here first, and I was around then before I was alive, Diamond's Droog says, inclining his head to the regal-looking Prospect ghost at his side. His ghost nods at you in a polite and formal way. Reader was that for one of my group. He died recently, when Reader was born, I guess. We need Reader on the ship, because they remembered bits of being there. If they stay here, the future is wrong. Your explanation is clunky, but you think you get there. Spade Slick stares at you, mouth slightly open. Problem Sleuth sucks in a sharp breath and then turns around to kick Spades in the knee. They're your... Unknown. They take after you! Unknown. Because of your... Unknown. Problem Sleuth is shouting, and you don't know if the translator is having a hard time because it's not got the vocabulary, or if it's the speed and emotion in his voice that's garbling the translation. So, we have to go. Can we go now, then? Diamond's Droog asks as his ghost laughs. Spade Slick's ghost shakes her head, though you don't think she's disagreeing on going. It's more like she's despairing about this whole thing. Slick is also yelling at her, as well as Problem Sleuth. This situation is a mess. You watch with interest as Club's Deuce runs into the middle of this conflict and starts chattering away to everyone involved, and as he does, you get to see the tension start to lower. So here's a question. They seem to have quadrants. At least they have something close to that system, so how about this? Spades? Lonk points at Spade Slick and Problem Sleuth bickering. Diamonds? He goes on, moving on to Diamond's Droog, who has his hand on Spade Slick's shoulder in a way that looks like he's trying to chill him out rather than get him involved in the argument that's going on. Clubs, Lonk finishes, motioning to Club's Deuce, who is very much mediating the situation. That's a hell of a coincidence. At least if they map nicely, then they should gel well with trolls. That's something at least. You say thoughtfully, and cast an eye at the thus far uninvolved Hart's boxcars. We want to try one more time in the observatory, and then we'll go with you, Club's Deuce says to your group after the situation calms down. I think they might be a problem,
Jake points out, his finger pointing at the guy in the observatory. He didn't translate that, but the meaning is pretty obvious.
Why won't he let you in?
Problem Sleuth asks. Because he's in need of a stabbing. Spade Slick answers, picking up the hat that Problem Sleuth knocked off of his head earlier. Problem Sleuth shakes his head and approaches the observatory. You follow a little closer so that your translator can pick everything up.
Can we come inside? Also, why are you wearing a label that says
elected official / government representative
on some wire around your chest?
Problem Sleuth asks.
Because I'm the
elected official / government representative, the carapacian in the window argues. What does that word mean? You ask Diamond's Droog, indicating the carapacian in the observatory's makeshift sash. It's a local elected leader, but we don't have one. This guy's crazy, Droog says with a mild shrug. Like a mayor, then? Okay, you're going with mayor instead of elected official / government representative.
What are you gonna do, report me?
The mayor asks, in what you can only assume is a smug gotcha tone. Hart's boxcars nod slightly in acknowledgement of a point well made.
Okay, look. Why do you hate Slick so much? I understand hating him, but why do you?
Problem Sleuth asks, and Slick makes a noise that you can translate as, hey, just fine by yourself.
He burnt down my farm!
The mayor accuses Spade Slick. Did I? Spade Slick seems surprised by this.
You don't remember?!
You think the translator could have added some more question mark, exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point to that if the mayor's body language is anything to go on. Did I do that? Spade Slick asked Diamond's Droog. You burn a lot of things down. He needs to be more specific, Droog says with a shrug. Your farm must have been very boring. I don't remember it. That's probably your fault. Spade Slick shouts up to the mayor.
You're not coming in here! Go away! Fall off the hill! Your hat is stupid and your coat is ugly!
The mayor shouts and slams the window. Holy shit, you love this little guy. You love the guts of someone seeing the city being abandoned to then look around and declare, my town now, and then to follow up an argument with insulting a guy's hat. Problem Sleuth slaps the hat off of Spade Slick's head again for his stupid comment, and Diamond's Droog motions to Hart's boxcars. You have a second to think, oh no, as the giant cube of a man barrels past you and smashes the door in with his fucking face. Okay, you're probably being unfair about this man's dimensions. He's not as wide as he is tall, but he is impressively jacked under that sensible black coat. He takes the whole door and door frame of the observatory with ease. Spade Slick looks a little heartbroken about that, like Hart's boxcars just spoiled his fun or something. Inside, now. We can do this. It won't work, and then we can leave and not die, Diamond's Droog says, and shoves Spade Slick towards the door. You look to your crew. You probably ought to follow them inside. It seems like you have this in the bag, but a little supervision doesn't hurt. You freeze when your radio crackles to life.
Leica, this is Megalodon. We found an alternate route back. We're about a third of the way to the base now and making very good time.
How did... There was another route back, but the roads were impassable from damage, and... You pause. Psionics, several of you say at once. Izdaja and Aradia are just throwing the truck up in the air over obstacles to make better time and make an impassable route passable. They're not supposed to do that, and you're not going to call them out on it over the comms if doing it will get Solix back faster. Copy that, Megalodon, you say, and roll your eyes. Jake leads you inside. All of you still have a hand on your weapons, but it's pretty clear that Slick's gang are fine with you. You settle yourself down in a crouch by the edge of the main observatory roof. You're not quite willing to sit and chill entirely, but you're also not willing to put the effort into standing when things seem this fine. It takes about half an hour or so for the carapacians to settle their argument, but no one gets shot or stabbed, so you're going to count it as a success. Eventually, the mayor comes and sits by your side, perhaps a little sullenly. It's pretty clear that this place has been lived in. You wonder how long the mayor has been camped out here. There's a little bed, and there's even food in cans here. Maybe it's weird that aliens have canned food, but the trolls had it too. It's probably just a sensible way to store food in a stable shape that you can stack. The mayor picks up a can and bites at it unhappily. There's food in there, right? Are you trying to open it? You ask curiously. The mayor looks around in surprise that you can communicate with him and that you understand when he replies, "It won't open. I don't have the thing to open it. I guess there's those knives over there." There are indeed a few knives that made it through the open window. Really, how many knives does Spade Slick even have? Still, you have a better solution. You fish out your multi-tool and flick the can opener arm of it out. Do you want me to open it? Your question is immediately answered by vigorous nodding from the mayor. You open the can easily enough, and when you hand it to the mayor, he goes to town on the contents. It looks like it might be custard. Some kind of sauce, at least. Why were you staying here anyway? Don't you want to get off of this planet? You ask, really wishing that you could get across that you're asking this compassionately. You don't want to interrogate the guy. The mayor hunches his shoulders a little and looks up through the glass dome of the observatory. Underneath the glass and the stars above, you can see Spade Slick's gang getting ready to balance, although there seems to be a little bit of ghost and balancer bickering going on right now. "I didn't think I should go. I've seen things, and..." The mayor stares upwards, not finishing what he had to say. Your fingers hesitate on your translator, but you type out a message anyway. "I don't know what you've seen or what has happened in your life. I've been through a lot too. But I think you should come with us. You can't get better if you're left behind." The mayor tips some more of the liquid in the can into his mouth and seems to think about that. "You had enough fight left to stand up to those guys, and if they're coming, then why should you be left behind?" You add. The mayor laughs a little record-scratch laugh and looks at you with a smile. "Okay, I will come, if you give me one of those things to open cans," the mayor says, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "I promise, when we get back to the base, I will find you a can opener of your very own," you vow solemnly. "Deal." Look at you, saving lives one utensil at a time. The Carapacian balancers start to sing, ghosts and all. As they do, you can feel the connection to the balance flare up and tell that it's as steady as can be. All you have to do is listen. The way Carapacians sound normally is far from human. That kind of beatboxing, percussive, glottal stops and pops that make their speech totally different to any human language. But singing? Oh, wow. Together as an alien quartet, their voices become something more. Blended together as one, they sound musical, like the ghost of a synthed-out cello pumped through a static gramophone filter. Their music sounds like how up-close pixel art looks. Chunks of melody, tone, and harmony that you can't parse on its own, but if you pull your head back and see the whole picture, then there's art there. It's music. You're a bajillion years from your home planet, and this is now the third species that looked up at the night sky and sang to keep the dark away. It's brand new to you and old as dirt all at once. Their static-filled notes run up your spine and light up your blood all neon electric. You could spend forever listening to them sing.
Your eyes flick to the translator and you scan over the lyrics to their alien song as they sing. Your chest is so crammed full of wonder and awe that it's a miracle that your heart can still beat around it.
I hate a moral coward, one who lacks the manly spark. I just detest a man afraid to go home in the dark. I always spend my evenings where there's woman, wine, and song. But like a man, I always bring my little wife along.
You had been grieving, you know that you had. As much as you hated Bro, as much as you wanted him gone, it was such a loss to have your ability to balance wrenched from you. You had the ability to sing to the universe and change it, to play your violin, and with every vibrating string you could stack the deck in the favor of the people you were supposed to protect. Losing that hurts so much, but you still made it through. You still get to listen to aliens sing their alien song and feel comforted that they have something in common with you. They're going to take the pressure off of the balancers on your ship. Things are different now, a little worse for you in places, but it's not going to be how it used to be. That idea hurts, but it's a relief too. Solix would probably like that duality. You'll have to tell him when he's not in so much pain.
The fun it doesn't stop till 12 on happy old Broadway. So what's the use of going home until the break of day? Now something confidential, whisper not above the breath. I once went home at 2 a.m. and scared my wife to death. I'm a member of the midnight crew. I'm a night owl and a wise bird too. Home with the milk in the morning, singing the same old song. Rise with the moon, go to bed with the sun. I'll lead to bed and you'll miss all the fun. Bring your wife in trouble, it will never trouble you. Make her a member of the midnight crew.
You shut your eyes and just listen to their alien song. This whole planet is going to be destroyed, but how amazing is it that you get to experience this, that you get to save these people, that ships in your fleet happen to pass this way and find signs of life in time to warn them and save so many. Tragedy and hope, light and dark, future and past. It's all there.
I'm a member of the midnight crew. I'm a night owl and a wise bird too. Home with the milk in the morning, singing the same old song. Rise with the moon, go to bed with the sun. I'll lead to bed and you'll miss all the fun. Bring your wife in trouble, it will never trouble you. Make her a member of the midnight crew.
When the song stops, you wait and let the gang talk and debate about how this obviously hasn't stopped the Void from its ravenous approach to the planet. It'll be better if they decide to leave entirely under their own power, without you intervening. You try to give them a little privacy, but your translator does pick up a snippet of Spade Slick and Problem Sleuth talking.
Hey, Carcat, can you tell me how having kids works for the Carapacians? I don't mean biologically, because I know their whole sex and gender thing is more of an everyone has everything deal like trolls.
I hate everything that you just said, but it's better than me sitting here waiting for Solix to come back. I heard he's nearly back to the base now, and they're getting him up here ASAP, so I'm waiting around like a nervous idiot. But sure, I can tell you what I've worked out.
Go for it. I guess I'm asking how they view parenthood.
So, for them, it seems to be that whoever carried them is viewed as their parent, and that they just have the one. But because they have interlocking relationships, you still get family units with other Carapacians. Also, the color doesn't seem to be hereditary, and there's some mythology about the moons in that, which no one has quite figured out yet. But there's references about a parent saying that their child takes after or has the spirit of another one or possibly more of their partners.
Like, who's the daddy?
It's not clear if it's a statement of biological relationship or something more spiritual. Why?
Reader's parent, Problem Sleuth, refused to leave without his Kismesis, or whatever their analog of that relationship is, I don't know, but it seems pitch to me. And when it became clear that the Kismesis shared some trait with Reader, everyone went nuts.
What trait?
The translator kind of garbled it, but it changed everyone's minds pretty quickly in a way that I'd expect if it was a human yelling that it's really your baby at someone.
Then, yeah, that sounds like it. The parent is asserting that the Kismesis is related to them in some way that's culturally important to them. I really am excited to learn more about how all of this works.
I am too, actually. They seem like a really cool species.
Are you saying that they've replaced us as your favorite aliens? I'm so hurt, Dave.
Nah, babe, you're always my number one favorite alien. Solix, of course, is number 2, as he would want. Oh, gotta go. Bye, love you.
You bounce up from your crouch to standing properly, now face to face with Problem Sleuth and Spade Slick. They've agreed to come back with us, but Stupid needs to get some things from his hiding place, Problem Sleuth says.
We would all like to get a few of our things,
Diamondstrug adds. Spade Slick says nothing, but simply seethes in general.
That may be the best that you get, though, so you're going to take it. That's fair. Let's go.
You agree. Having to go back to the concert hall isn't exactly ideal, but it's perfectly reasonable. If you have to make your journey an hour or two longer, then so be it. It's not like you can take Aradia's route back. None of you have the psionics needed to make it. You all trudge down the steep hill that the observatory rests on, making your way back down to your damaged truck. Getting everyone in is a squeeze, but it's fine. When it's other sailors and you're on a mission, then you don't care much about personal space. Besides, with Cornell driving, you can basically drape yourself over Jake and be half in his lap. That way you can catch some sleep to be sharper for later. Lonk can help direct Cornell, and he can translate if the carapacians have questions. You're all good. The radio jolts you awake when you get to the concert hall. Solix is safely up on the ship now, and Marsty is happy with how he's doing. That's a real weight off your chest, that's for sure. In a few hours, you can get back to base as well. Then you can hop on an elevator up there, since Karkat and Gamzee should be coming down here. You'll be able to check on him then, and you can show Problem Sleuth and his groups where to go on the ship. You made my leg go dead. Jake yawns as he gets out of the truck, having dumped you out of it first. Sorry, man. You yawn and stretch as well. I'm thinking maybe we should get some ropes ready to lash stuff to the roof. If Lonk and Cornell can make sure that they're bringing out boxes or cases, then we can secure it that way. It's not like there's much room inside. You say thoughtfully. We have a mesh, don't we? The big net? Cornell asks. You're smarter than you look, Lonk says smoothly as you go around to the back of the truck to check. Hey, you do have a big cargo net. Nice. Now you just need to unravel this son of a bitch and clip and secure it properly without getting tangled in it. Up ahead, you hear Lonk and Cornell bitching at each other, and Jake telling them to take the carapacians inside and get them to pack shit in a way that won't fall out of the net. Why do the instructions never make sense? I swear that we don't have nearly enough gosh darn attachment points with matching pivot hinge screws. What's a pivot hinge screw when it's at home? Jake whispers angrily after about 10 minutes of unraveling and part counting. Look, what we do have is lots of carabiners, cargo belts, and failing that we have duct tape. We can just say that we lost some equipment when Solix blew the door off, you suggest. I don't think you can blame everything on that. Okay, fine, but no tape. Now, you grab this end, Jake says, passing you one corner. You go about hooking things in place and cinching where you can. When Lonk comes out with Hart's boxcars and the first load of things in boxes, you're then able to start filling the net and making sure that it sits on the roof evenly. Hart's boxcar's ghost follows him out, but stays outside with you, seemingly very interested in the process of packing boxes to deliver them. She seems alarmed at one point when it looks like you're going to stack a small box under a big one, but no, you were just putting it on the roof nearby so that you didn't have to go back down again to get it. I'm really sorry that the translator doesn't pick up what you're saying, but I can talk to you more later and learn. You offer, making the ghost pull down her robes from her face a little to smile at you. You pack things up with your new ghostly supervisor, but you look around when she reacts to something. She's staring and looking at nothing, and then at you, over and over, even waving her arms. Movement ahead makes you look up, but that's only Lonk and Spade Slick coming out of the hideout's secret door. That's not the right direction. What are you missing? Something tingles at the edge of your awareness, and you carefully expand your senses. You see what the robed carapacian ghost is looking at. Vriska? You say in shock. Run! Get out of here! She screams at you. Oh, no. You scramble to get off of the roof, but as you get one foot on the hood of the truck, your leg goes limp. Your whole body crumples underneath you, and you're asleep before your body even hits the hood of the truck.